Plat Chat.
Let's discuss.
So,
Let's discuss.
172. Scott, what's going on in your background?
There's frosted glass. That's I think all there really is. Yeah, Avast was wondering if I was broadcasting out of a bathroom. We haven't got to that point. We haven't got to that point yet. You know, I'm never going to say never, but we might.
We're close.
Have you ever seen that glass where you put like electrical current through it and it turns like it goes like it's like clear and then they put the electrical current and it goes and it like goes all frosty.
Cool.
That shit's real cool. If I'm like a tech billionaire, I would have that all over my house, like 100%.
For zero uses. Like,
why? I think it'd be like, imagine you trolled people too, where like they have like you have like one of those buzzers in your hands and you just like lean on the glass and it goes, you know, like I would just be a magnificent troll when I made billions. People. Yeah, in my biotech company, if we made billions, like I would just be a troll, honestly.
I mean, we're kind of already trolling a little bit, so I don't think you need money to troll, but
but you need money to troll better.
Okay, to improve the trolling, more resources for trolling. Got it.
So true.
Basically, we're a little bit late, and it's actually my fault. Everyone in the chat were like, "Avast is late. He's in meetings," or like, Custa or something, always leaking and late. I don't know. No, it's actually me. I'm the problem. Late. I was late. Sorry about that. We got an exciting episode on our hands today. We got a new hero coming out for season 4 of Overwatch, LIFEWEAVER. We'll be talking about LIFEWEAVER. We'll break down the pro-am as well. And we're going to try to do this all within a reasonable 2 hours. Because Jaws has things to do. He has places to be. I have places to be. Zoom links to be on. And so we're going to try to speed run this episode. Who
pretends he has meetings, bro? I don't know.
Yeah.
Those oysters aren't going to eat themselves, Johnny. I get it. Don't worry. Those oysters aren't going to eat themselves.
Look, chucking oysters takes a lot of time, all right? I need an afternoon to prep. I need an afternoon
chucking oysters, popping Prosecco bottles, like that all takes time.
Look, man, if this esports thing doesn't work out, at least I can put chucking oysters on my LinkedIn, and I got a backup.
I think you'll do great in Louisiana bayous.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm sure someone in LA needs someone chucking oysters in the back.
Alaskan fisherman arc.
It's not too far from the Swedish fisherman arc, so it runs deep. The chucking oyster skill, it runs deep in my family. I can take credit for that. Some of you might notice that I'm wearing a Shock jersey. Let's get to that as well.
Jill.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a... hold on, Custa.
Broadcast team talking about Shock again?
That's crazy. They didn't wear Dallas jerseys. That's actually crazy.
If I go here and I pull up this YouTube channel right here and I go to the videos...
okay, wait. We're looking at it?
I find this.
Who
is this guy?
Wait a minute.
If you keep watching, I toss it off in about 15 seconds.
He tosses it off.
Okay.
Hang on. Hey,
yo, free advertising. Hit like and subscribe.
I'm just gonna say, my recording software right now is a CPU overloaded, and there's a fire emoji. So I don't know if that's because of you, Scott. If things go down, you know why. But yeah, here we go. We got Shock jerseys.
Bitcoin mining on my YouTube videos.
So the reason why we got Shock jerseys is not actually because we would have liked to buy the Shock jerseys, but they actually sent them to us after we crowned them the #1 jersey.
Were we supposed to get ours? Like, am I supposed to show mine?
I have mine.
You have a Shock jersey.
I have mine.
Yeah. Avast has a Shock jersey.
I don't know where I put it.
Avast doesn't even like jerseys, and it still has a Shock jersey because they sent all of us jerseys after we crowned them #1. So if it wasn't clear and obvious from all the podcasts last year, Dallas Fuel fans, we truly are Shock Sims. No, I'm joking, of course. But thank you so much to the Shock. I appreciate that. They sent us cool jerseys. I like this jersey. So I don't know where you've worn your jersey, Custa, but I've worn mine to a couple of dates. It's worked out. My fiance loves it. So
what do you say?
Big Trader Joe's fan.
Trader Joe's with the great Trader Joe's jersey as well. So if you want your own Shock jersey, I'm not going to tell you that you have to necessarily buy a Shock jersey, but you can go to shop.overwatchleague.com and you can buy whatever jersey you want. We like the Shock jersey, and we like the people at Shop.
Are we getting paid for this? What is happening right now? Like,
I'm trying to keep the league alive. I'm trying to keep the league alive, Joss. I'm trying to get the teams to have some form of revenue. So please buy the jerseys. All right, I'm done.
Is the Chengdu jersey on there yet? Is the Chengdu jersey on the website yet?
No. Go back.
Take a look. I want to see if the Chengdu jersey's on there. Keep going.
Oh,
there it is. Wait, is that the new one? Is that the new one? That's old. That's old. Where's that money going to? Where's that money going to?
Kind of fresh. It still looks kind of fresh, though.
No, I mean it's not bad. But where's the money going to? Huh? I need to know if Chengdu's alive. Like, what's happening? Like,
Okay, there's the Mayhem. You know, if you want to shield Mayhem, you can do so, Avast. But
I mean, I like their jersey. I say buy it if you want to.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Glitch up there.
Players.
Personally, I'm going to shield the Shock jersey. So there you go. Siri likes it too, but she's asleep right now. So there you go. All right, let's get into today's episode. That's enough shielding for one day. Jesus Christ. Yeah, LIFEWEAVER. Let's talk about LIFEWEAVER, guys. We got a new support there on our hands. What a seamless transition. I'm great. I'm getting great at this, guys.
It's really good.
I can't believe I'm paid professional for this. But yeah, we got a new hero on our hands in LIFEWEAVER. So we've been waiting a long time for this. We got a hero gameplay trailer released earlier this morning. I actually haven't watched this because I'm the reason we're late.
Oh, you
I've
haven't?
been busy.
Okay.
So I haven't seen this video yet. It's interesting.
It's interesting. It's an interesting. Like I actually just preemptively, I'm gonna say I love the heroes like kit and like what they're doing with it. I'm just worried about like some potential ramifications, but I think some of that got cleared up by OG earlier because I hadn't play tested the hero. But like, you'll see later on in the video, Johnny, what my worries were essentially with this hero.
You're worried about like the pull ability or whatever.
I was worried about the pull, yeah, right here. But it got clarified that a teammate has to accept the pull.
Which, you know, as people have said, is like, it means that less trolling is available, but it also means that the
instant reaction ability.
Yeah, the instant reaction is all of a sudden not there. Like, I wonder if you can do a thing. Like, I almost believe there should be a setting which is like, click to interact with LIFEWEAVER or something like that, where you can turn it off and you can just trust people. Because I err on the side of trusting my teammates, not to have my best interests at heart. I know that could be a throw. But yeah, like, because they're going to have to click it on you, and then you're going to have to accept it, which, like, how quickly are you going to accept a LIFEWEAVER pull? Like, you're never going to expect it to ever come. So,
well, I think also we're getting a little narrow with the scope of the LIFEWEAVER pull, though, too, because theoretically, you can also use the LIFEWEAVER pull to pull teammates up to high ground, like to set up or to, like, set up plays. Like, you're looking at a narrow scope there. Like, what I love about LIFEWEAVER and his kit is that it's finally a fucking hero that addresses the high ground issue for the first time in Overwatch, like, history. Like, it's like Sim kind of did, but it was like Sim sort of did, but the problem is Sim also had like a pretty limited scope of their kit for the rest of it. LIFEWEAVER has, in my opinion, a lot more utility than Sim did, and like we finally have the ability to, like, okay, we can raise people up to the high ground, we can pull people up to the high ground, we can move enemies, like we have another person that can displace enemies too, because like realistically we've only really had one hero that truly displaces consistently, and that's like Hog, you know, and also Orisa before, like Overwatch 1 Orisa, and I guess Overwatch 2 Orisa actually with the spear. The spear does work in a similar capacity. But like, so I'm actually excited. I like LIFEWEAVER's kit. I think it's cool. I think it's a great kit. I was worried about trolling.
It looks wicked.
But it seems like they've found a solution to that. So
I do like the idea of having I do like the idea of having a toggle whether you insta accept or not. I think that's quite cool. But yeah, what's really interesting is, dude, are you gonna have to toggle that every fucking game? Like, you know, when me and you queue up Scott, I'm like, yeah, I'll probably have that auto accepted. You know, you're not gonna. Well, you probably will troll me at some points, but like, you know, that's fine. You know, a little bit of friendly trolling, that's fine. But like, when you actually get into a game with a fucking like inter or like someone that it's like a bad pull, you know what I mean? Like, holy shit, this was awful. Like, you don't want to take that the entire time, but I do think it is a little bit narrow to think of it like that. The cooldown, I think, is also going to be hella long. Okay, let me just check. Am I allowed to say what am I allowed to say?
Wait,
let me check.
Wait,
let me check.
Already? So soon? So soon?
I have played the character.
The embargo has not been released yet. We've only seen these abilities so far, Jack. Yes. And we've seen the lore story. At 11 p.m., the character and I believe is when we'll start to see more things.
He is sick, is what I will say. It's fucking cool. And I think with like how much is in his kit, the first thing that jumped into my head, I don't know if anybody else got this kind of feeling. It felt like a Sigma, release RAM. Like, oh my God, there is so much going on. I am so afraid over the next few years that we're just going to have like ability creep. I don't think after playing it, I don't think there is ability creep there, but like on the face of it, I'm like, holy shit, there's so much happening right now. But yeah, with cooldown management, with cooldown timers, I think you can kind of tweak that. The only thing is as well, like visual clutter and clarity has always been a thing in Overwatch, but I don't know how much this giant fuck off tree is gonna impact that.
I mean, yeah, the tree is pretty funny to look at, especially when you have like a Pharah
very big
into it. Yeah, it's large, but
look at that shit.
I was actually going to say that. I mean, I haven't played the hero. I can say that. I haven't played the hero, actually.
I also haven't played it. I think Jack's the only one who's played it in this group. I should have played it, but I
should have too, but you did watch parties all weekend and then, whatever.
Yeah.
So, just looking at the abilities, the LIFEWEAVER sort of gives me Wrecking Ball vibes in that Wrecking Ball, when introduced, it kind of was like a big moment where we're like, oh, like, actually we're not set by these boundaries of like what a tank is supposed to be. We're not like the Wrecking Ball really changed the game in that, like, what, you can swing around buildings and stuff, like you can roll around, you can move way faster than other characters. Wrecking Ball was a bit of such a different hero from like Winston, Reinhardt. They were pretty simple, pretty slow in what they did. LIFEWEAVER feels like something completely different and new to the game that I don't think we've seen in quite a while. Maybe I'm wrong in that. Custa, do you think that LIFEWEAVER will have like a huge impact on the way we think about the game? We think about high ground, we think about like positioning, and put it like, if you can truly like limit test now and have like a get out of jail free card with the pool, right? So do you think LIFEWEAVER will change the way we kind of like think about Overwatch and how we play it?
That's kind of what I want to hear from Jack a little bit more, but like my take so far is like he kind of reminds me of Sim in the way that like it doesn't feel like the primary part of his kit is healing or damage, right? Like when you think of a lot of these other support characters, they provide something else, like healing, damage, CC, anything like that. It feels very utilitist based, which is pretty much Symmetra, right? The only reason you play Symmetra is for that teleport. And I feel like LIFEWEAVER, unless his numbers are just bonkers, I don't expect LIFEWEAVER to be played that much. I expect him to be very niche, unless he is just like ridiculously strong at enabling one style of composition. But like, I can't see him playing in like, let's say you want to use the lift up for the vertical high ground on like Hollywood, right? But is it worth playing that with like a Lucio LIFEWEAVER, or do you not have enough healing? Is there not enough like throughput to be able to like justify that? So that's really where my question lies with the hero of like, does he do enough outside of his really cool utility and his ultimate and all that kind of stuff to actually make him viable to play?
I kind of view LIFEWEAVER. I actually think LIFEWEAVER, the main reason I think LIFEWEAVER Weaver is different than Sim is he can heal at all. Like Sim literally can't heal. So, and like it's just essentially just a DPS that can TP, right? But the thing, which is great, but also like their damage and ability, their utility outside of that was pretty limited. While LIFEWEAVER, you can heal while TPing. Additionally, I think the pool is actually a very strong tool because you have to realize the pool not only removes you, it gives you a shield. It's like a bubble. It's a Zarya bubble, essentially. Is from what is what it seems like.
I mean, we should just clarify right now. Like,
I don't know if that's for sure 100% true.
All the Overwatch characters, they're usually overpowered. So let's just assume this character is overpowered.
Yeah, but like the thing, but they specifically said they specifically said that it's a shield. You shield the teammate, is what they specifically said.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's working exactly like a bubble, but it sounds like it's working like a bubble. So to me, the ability to tractor beam a teammate like a tank with a bubble up to high ground sounds really fucking strong.
But that means you have to be on the high ground, right?
Also, like you have a lot of different options for that. I mean, well, you have the elevator, right? Like you have some options. Like I do agree, you have to make it to the high ground yourself. But I also don't know exactly how the range of it works, like what the scope of it works. Like I don't. There's a lot of things about the pool I don't know.
We should have waited. We should have fucking waited to discuss this shit because I know. We should. We'll
definitely speculate and we'll talk about it later.
Good. Let's do it because Jesus Christ,
Okay, Jack wants to talk really badly about everything he knows.
Yeah, I fucking do, bro.
But let's.
Speculation though, because I have not played the character versus other people. To be fair, I.
Jack's out here shooting bots like, I know I got the juice, guys.
I mean,
I killed it in the practice range.
But the way I feel about the hero is that kind of what Scott was kind of alluding to.
I see. Okay.
And like just looking at the character too, right? And its abilities, pulling, lifting, fuck off tree. Like it does feel a little bit more niche.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Cool. Wait, okay, Jack. This is all I want to know. Though you don't have to break any embargoes.
Okay.
How does the damage and healing feel? Like in comparison to other heroes? Like
I am reaction Andy. I only react to the trailer. I'm reacting
like
to the trailer.
A lot of damage, Scott. It looks like there's
it doesn't look like a lot of damage. No, it doesn't. It doesn't look like a lot of damage. No. It looks like pretty minimal damage.
It looks like he's having to like fire up a sprout and then like toss it. Do you have to aim that sprout, like, or is that like a?
Who knows?
If you
we don't know.
Aim
Scott.
in the general direction.
We don't have the information.
Damn it. I just need to know. Like,
there's a lot of unknowns. But the point, I think we should just say theoretically. Let's just say theoretically. Assuming Jack is not here, there is a chance with this kit where I find it at face value could be more useful, depending on how it's designed. Where it could be more useful overall. I don't know if that's the case because I haven't played the hero and I haven't played it against other players and seen gameplay like against other players in depth. But to me, I think this kit, A, I like the kit. I think it's cool. And B, I think there's a real chance that there's way more utility with LIFEWEAVER than there ever was with like Sim. I find there's a chance. There was this article yesterday that kind of got released and then it got removed or something. I didn't really track it, but this seems to be the abilities that kind of like leaked in that article. We don't have to discuss them like specifically, but overall, I just going back in our conversation a little bit, these are like very unique abilities that we haven't really seen in Overwatch before. And I'm very curious about how LIFEWEAVER will change the game. I don't know what your first reaction is when you think about like compositions. Like it's way too early for that stuff, but we do way too early tier lists on the Plat Chat Valorant channel. So let's do way too early compositional speculation here. But it really does feel like it's a very tempo heavy character where like you can engage really fast. You can disengage from dives and stuff like that. You have a dash. So you can get out. If someone dives you, if someone dives your Cassidy, you can dash out and pull your Cassidy back from the dive, stuff like that. You have a kind of like an AoE healing and Tree of Life, it seems like. So it seems like a pretty effective character in that regard. And then who the hell knows what, paddle platform. I feel like it could also LIFEWEAVER with like, especially with the strength of Kiriko right now, theoretically, or even Ana.
Yeah,
theoretically, you don't even necessarily need a Lucio with this character, because a big part of the Lucio for like enabling rush was like we have to rotate 300 fucking miles around the map to get to the stairs. And like now it's like, well, no, now we can just walk in and like we have a character that can dash and heal and also shield their teammates, while also we have a character that can Suzu and TP, right? And then you get a high ground off of a platform.
So the way the character felt to play, it didn't feel. Dude, we're straying. So this is a separate point.
Can we just talk about this in 20 minutes when Jack can talk about it?
Well, I'm just going to say some stuff now. Like I've read, some people said like no specific numbers or anything, but we can talk about how we felt playing it against and shit like that. But like we're straying so far away, by the way, from like main support and flex support now. It's like fucking crazy, by the way. It's nuts how like different those two roles were like way back when, but now they're just like kind of blurring into one. This character is like they feel slow, like a slow character.
Oh really?
It doesn't feel quick, and I think with how the kit like actually works, I don't know if you could play it with like, maybe you could play it with rush, but it feels very much more like repositioning, rotating, and like getting high ground away from a team, or like getting your teammates to high ground, obviously, right, with the lift and with the grab and shit, like the fucking blitzcrank hook. It feels very much more like that than it does like, we're gonna go fucking crazy, we're gonna go in like fucking like speed boost forward. It feels like you can't really have a Lucio with that character. Maybe you could, maybe I'm just completely wrong, and maybe like it's crazy because you can just isolate a single target by fucking lifting them up in the air. But it felt way more like, I want to play this with a fucking Ana who I can get to high ground really fast using my abilities and then pull people out of danger and be a little bit more slow and methodical with it, rather than it being super fast.
Guys, we made
it's
Jack
a bit more
break
safety nets, right?
Jack, follow-up question while you're breaking in the air. You're already in too deep. What is the hitbox like? Big, similar to someone else? Like, you know,
look at the character in the trailer compared to everybody else.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, does he look very similar to like a Pharah hitbox?
Ain't a fucking Kiriko, that's for sure. Ain't a fucking
It ain't Kiriko. That's sort of the question, right?
Kiriko.
Yeah. It ain't a Kiriko. There we go.
Kiriko, Sojourn, they have the smallest hitboxes in the game. Change my fucking mind. Those hitboxes are ridiculous. But no, it feels pretty honest Overwatch.
All right.
Okay. All right. That's good.
Did you guys watch the origin story?
No, I have not yet.
I have not. Okay, so we're one of the most popular Overwatch podcasts, and we haven't actually watched anything.
Well, it came out at 10. It came out at 10 a.m.
I mean, I watched the gameplay trailer. I just haven't watched the origin because I've already said people I don't give a shit about the origin. Like, I mean, that's just my own personal opinion, you know. Like, I'm care about the gameplay, not like the lore. Until PvE's released and I see like a functional RPG elements, why would I care about the lore? In my opinion. Like, that's my honest opinion.
Some people care about the lore, and we speak for the people of us. You know, we are.
Yeah, you can speak for them.
Yeah,
I speak for the people that don't give a shit.
Yeah, I'm with Connor. I love Overwatch, and it has like a deep backstory that a lot of people can connect with. But yeah, for me, I'm not like a Jake where I think everything should be like monotone, like black and gray. Like
Jake wants TF2 again. He just wants to be able to customize your HUD and turn off your.
I love all the small interactions and shit
as well.
And I love there's a backstory, but I'm definitely with Connor and like, nah, I just want to play the character.
I think I'll be a lot more invested once PvE's out. Once PvE's out, I'll care. I will care. Once PvE's out, then it matters. There's actually like, then you can connect with the characters. Like, you only get snippets, you get voice lines, you get Marvel fucking bat chest moments right now. But like, once we have a PvE, we can actually be like, oh, like, here's a cool like lore mission. Like, here's us teaming up. Like, here's RPG elements. We're invested in the heroes, right? Like, it's simply, with the way it's integrated right now, it simply doesn't matter. It's hard to have those things, and that's something that a lot of the viewer base agrees with. Like, I can go to r/Overwatch, and I'm sure all the fucking people there are gonna be like, yeah, I agree. You know, like they will agree with that take right now.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
Yeah, I hear that's where all the intellectuals are. And us.
When we're talking about lore, yes, when we're talking about lore, that's exactly who we should be talking to. We should be talking to competitive Overwatch. We should be talking about fucking the lore Andes on r/Overwatch. That's what we're talking about.
Forums. Anyway, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I know. I mean, it's not like I haven't read like all the comics and stuff, because quite frankly, like, I'm not into all the like comics and stuff they release. But some people are. I will say, just like looking at how they've designed this hero, you know, the visuals and everything. The hero looks amazing. Like, it has so much character, you know, with the petals and everything. Like, it looks amazing. This origin story, I haven't listened to it, and I can't listen to it during the podcast. But like, look at this. This looks amazing. Like, the visuals are fantastic. And, you know, that, say what you want about a giant tree in the middle of your game, but like, it's cool. Like, it is just straight up really cool. So I'll be a visual Victor or something. I don't know. I think the hero just like looks incredibly cool. And I will say that, give huge props to the Overwatch design team and the animation team, everyone, our team. Like, it looks like an incredible character, and you know, this just continues what we've seen now for like a year with Sojourn, Junker Queen, Kiriko. Like, these characters are just like so much more vibrant than the early days character, and I feel like they have so much more to them with their visuals. So I think the character just like straight up looks amazing. So I don't know, if you guys don't care, fine, but I'll say it.
No, I mean, I do, but you said lore, not visuals. Those are two entirely separate things, Johnny.
Okay, well, sorry, I wasn't specific enough for you, Avast.
That's right, okay? Because I've always respected it. Because also, I think, sorry, I wasn't Spanakopita enough for you. But like, I'm just saying, I'm just saying that, like, because I not only do I agree with you, but also I think you're actually underselling the Overwatch 1 heroes. The Overwatch 1 heroes, comparatively to a lot of the, you know, hero shooters of their time, like, you know, like the fucking like Lawbreakers and like shit like that, like. Overwatch 1 had very great character design still. I mean, they're still universal and like dynamic and like very, you know, everyone knows who they are when they look at them today. You know, like they did a great job initially with the designs, and they still do a great job. I thought the visuals of Overwatch was always a very strong selling point, and like how distinct they looked overall. That's separate from lore. Very separate. Because I can see it with my eyeballs. Okay. I can't see the lore with my eyeballs.
Well, you
can't see it.
You can, but...
No, I can't. I can't because I can't see it in the game. I can't see it in the game.
I'm sorry.
All right. Anything else on this hero before we move on? And then we'll revisit this topic maybe a little bit later. So we'll see. We do have to get through the Pro-Am stuff as well. So I think we'll pivot to the Pro-Am, and then maybe we'll get back to LIFEWEAVER. not the most scripted perfect episode ever, but who cares? Like, you're listening to us, you're stuck in traffic in LA right now, or New York, or somewhere else. You're stuck in traffic in your car, you're stuck, you're listening to us. That's fine, okay? We'll talk about something else. So don't worry, we'll get back to the hero, okay? You're just having a good time. I know you guys. I've been there. I've been stuck in traffic. I know what it's like. All right. Moving on.
Relatable moments. Hashtag relatable moments, guys.
Relatable, bro.
Everyone tag us on Instagram and say, everyone get on your phone in traffic and tag us in your Instagram posts, you know?
That's true.
Group C of the Pro-Am took place this past weekend. Wow, this is a banger episode. Lots of stories coming out of this one. We'll focus in on a specific couple of storylines, and then we'll also take a look at the bracket later on. But there were a few outstanding teams that, like, I think really surprised us with how strong and powerful they were in this weekend. Avast is smiling. Stop reading YouTube.
I just, when you said strong and powerful, it just made me laugh. It just made me laugh.
What do you think about Boston, Avast? Let's start there.
Oh,
where are you?
They're good.
They're good. About Boston?
They're fucking. I mean, we were worried.
8-0
this
in
team.
maps.
Al Pacino from Heat Voice. This team is good. Like they were actually fucking. They're good. Like,
wow,
they're good.
When do you watch Heat? That's a great movie. Oh,
it is. It's a fantastic film. But yeah, I think Boston. They kind of just slapped me in the face and be like, actually, we're gonna be really good.
Yeah.
This whole year, which they should have been. Their roster, they should have been, but we were worried. Now, it doesn't change the fact that their coach has committed a lot of wage theft in the past and a lot of stolen prize money and such. But at the same time, they have a really good roster. They have a really good roster, and it showed. It really showed here. So I think that this is I mean, Boston fans should be happy. And they did it with the K. They didn't play Striker on Tracer. They played the K on Tracer the whole weekend, and the K looked good.
Yeah,
he looked good too. So honestly, you should be happy if you're a Boston fan. I'm excited for the team. I'm glad. I'm hoping. And their backline's a war crime. Their backline's literally a war crime.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be it's fucking disgusting. Sure, Lee Jae-gon, he did some trolling. He did a little trolling at times, but he did a little trolling. But when they have Izayaki Lee Jae-gon or Twilight Lee Jae-gon and then Izayaki Twilight, it's so good. It's
criminal. It's actual really criminal. This team I knew was going to be good. I'm just saying it. I called it a few weeks ago. I knew this team was going to be fucking fire. Birdring comes back after a break. He was on
Birdring Pounds. Yeah,
Birdring Pounds. He was on an Apex team with, oh my fucking god.
I know who you're going to say.
Is it Jonak or someone?
No, not Jonak. He was on a fucking Apex team with
another Overwatch,
with another old Overwatch head. Yeah, and they also
Chat always knows. They'll figure it out.
He's pretty fucking good.
No, it wasn't Effect.
It was Effect. No, I think it was. It was. I'm pretty sure now. Yeah, it's kind of ringing a bell as soon as you said the name. Anyway, he was on a Apex team with another Overwatch old head, and he's still really fucking good at that game too. Funnily enough, I just never thought Birdring had lost any kind of fucking mojo. The guy still jumps in the server and pounds, and then has the fucking gall to say in an interview, "Yeah, it's not my best. Nah, it's not my best. I got another one in me." It was crazy how good that fucking guy is. And it was funny, and I think the highlight for me was just watching Lee Jae-gon fucking feed.
Dude, there was some egregious feed
his brains out, and didn't matter because the rest of his team is just so fucking good. If his whole team was taking it seriously, he definitely was not, and he was just having a trolling and a little good time, honestly. And who gives a shit? Because they went fucking they didn't lose a single map. They're so good. If they just continue to play like this, and Lee Jae-gon, to be fair, at the very end of the last couple of games, it was oh god, no, he's kind of turning it on now. He's not feeding his fucking brains out. He's being smart, peeling for Twilight, peeling for Izayaki. Bro, this team is unstoppable. They're gonna be top 3 team for sure.
Yeah, I just, when we speak about Lee Jae-gon as well, there were definitely some feeder moments where you're what's going on? But I don't believe he Ajaxed or anything. He didn't Ajax this past.
He had a bad Ajax. He had a really bad one.
I'm pretty sure he did.
He tried to beat in front of a nano Ramatra.
He did a little bit of trolling.
He did a little bit of trolling.
But also he did most of his trolling versus the teams that they were pretty favored against.
Yeah. Well, what I wanted to say was that if just if you left this weekend, and I'm not saying you guys did, but if you left this weekend thinking that Lee Jae-gon negatively fed a lot of times, that he was a detriment to his team, that's kind of like where I disagree. Maybe there are a few troll moments, but taking a look at specifically like the Gladiators matchup, I did notice that actually like Lucio diving with the Winston was usually like the right decision, just like how the compositional matchup fared. And you know, there were like one time on Antarctic Peninsula, it looked like he just straight up fed, but actually like he was just speeding back to the point, and it was like in a 2v2. And then he found himself like versus a Ramatra or something, or like a Nano Tracer or something. It's like, well, what do? You tried to get back to the fight, and then you died because you were like versus a Nano Tracer. So like, it's not his fault, but like, it did make sense against the Gladiators where like you're playing against a Ramatra comp. Like, yeah, you have to dive aggressively. You have to be aggressive. And so he dove with Smurf on the Winston, and I think it was like strategically like a good feed. It did look ridiculous at times, but there were a few moments where he was warranted to go aggressive. He was warranted to feed.
I can't believe you're defending some of these Lee J gunplay. I'm talking about the solo sound barriers rushing into the back line.
Okay.
He had I'm talking about some troll rallies.
No, but honestly, like when we joke like this, that like, oh, he was feeding, he was off the goop. Like there were a few people who.
I mean,
okay, I'll just move on.
No, I agree. Here's the thing. I agree with you, Johnny. It's like you can't look at this and be like, Lee J Gon's washed or Lee J Gon's just stupid, right? Like he's literally just fucking around. My big concern that I have about Lee J Gon is irrelevant to what we've seen so far. Is like, can he temper that when he's against the best teams in the world? Because he's literally done that in a grand finals match as well. We all remember that Oasis match where he like turbo fed for an entire map. But here's the thing. Someone in chat actually called it up because they know what I'm about to say. I don't think Boston has been truly tested of like a great team. I feel like a lot of people are just by default being like, yeah, Boston's in the top tier with, you know, the Houston Outlaws and the Atlanta Reign. And I am not there yet. I need to see them do it this weekend before I really get fully on board with the Boston Uprising hype train. Obviously, with just their roster, we can all agree they're probably easily a top 5, top 6 team. Do I think that they are a championship caliber roster right now? I don't think we haven't seen their coaching staff be tested from this weekend, right? Gladiators are struggling. Washington impressed us, but still that roster is just nowhere near the caliber of Boston. So it's like, I don't think we've seen it yet. I'm not fully on that hype train. I'm not fully just like full holes barred. Boston has a championship shot just yet.
Let me ask you this. So when we look at the team like Houston Outlaws, and we'll get to them later, they play Violet and Shu, who are really good in the double flex support meta, but they also have Violet who can flex over to the Lucio. We did see a few times this past weekend where Boston Uprising, they rolled out with the Isayaki and the Twilight kind of support duo. Does that like inspire you with confidence from like a hero versatility standpoint? Like, do you trust that backline to be fine if they get countered? Do you feel like this team at times with, you know, Smurf opted for a Winston a lot of the time, a Doom a couple a little bit, do you still think that like Boston Uprising has the versatility to play lots of different compositions, you know, with some of these lineups they have in store? Or do you think that's just like a non-issue? Like, I'm not even thinking about that. Do you think that's a concern with this team?
I think they'll be fine in any meta as long as they play the right players, right? They have a pretty big roster is the problem, and there's not that flexibility in the same way that we talk about the Houston Outlaws. Houston Outlaws, other than Fearless maybe, right? Like, they have flexibility on so many different heroes with just their 5 primary players, while Boston, it kind of feels like they're going to need a like hodgepodge, like, you know, the back line, and then they want Kalios to come in to play that Diva and stuff like that. So it's like, I like their roster. I think they won't have any issues in any single meta unless they have to start doing a lot of flexibility in the server when they're actually in a map. But, you know, they have so much talent, I don't expect that to be a major issue.
Okay.
I feel like they're good. I feel like they're in a good spot. I mean,
they're in a good spot.
They look good. I mean, like, also, I was taking a quick gamer pee while you were doing that, but like, I think that I actually agree with your take, Johnny. Even though Lee J-Gon, I do think trolled. I still think a lot of times it looked more egregious than it was because of he was diving. He was diving purposely at times, but also he really reined it back in the Justice game, like a lot. He looked really good. He was playing a lot more traditional role, but that's because it made more sense because they were doing like, they weren't playing quite the exact same way, and they were also doing more heal. But yeah, I think I'm actually high. I will say, out of all the teams that came out, like when you look at them, I felt more confident with Boston. like in my top 3 of like my most confidence, like I like have Mayhem, Rain, Boston. Houston to me, I still feel really good about, but like I'm like, I don't know. But like, you know, they also had some like, but also their mind was like their fucking group was kind of like
pro, yeah.
Well, I don't know if it was necessarily troll. I think like.
Let's get to Group D.
Yeah,
later.
we'll talk more about. We'll talk
more about them later. But yeah,
but I feel good about Boston.
You feel good about Boston? Yeah.
I like them. I like it. I like the team.
Yeah, like I agree with that. They're definitely like top 3, top 4 this tournament. Like just straight, like you can't even argue that they went 8-0 in their group. They look phenomenal. As I said, when I come out with my disagreement, it's people who are like, this team can beat any, like can just like is top 1 right now, and I'm not there yet. Like they are definitely one of the best teams in the league and in this tournament for sure.
Yeah. A lot of people felt like we undersold them. Guys, it's been 1 weekend. It's been 1 weekend. Let's see what
also,
happens.
They played against a bunch of contenders teams too, so like, you know.
Yeah, it's pro-am.
But they looked good. They looked good.
Yeah.
They did. They looked really good.
I'll also give a shout out to DK as well, because, you know, I've obviously, you know, I feel like I have a responsibility to praise DK because I've also been the one who criticizes DK a lot and, you know, question DK. Basically, the story for me this year is that I feel like this is really the team where DK can win tournaments and fulfill his potential as a player, because we know for a long time, for years now, that DK is a super talented player. I just want to see him like fulfill on that potential and like win tournaments, like compete for stage titles. Well, I guess you can't anymore now, but you get what I'm saying, right? This is his best team that he's ever been on, and it started out a little bit quiet against the Gladiators, but if you actually go back and look at the footage, he was actually pretty much Avast called it like DeMichael from Kungarna, where he just like spamming the tank, killing the tank player, post bombing the tank, and winning the tank matchup actually helped out Boston Uprising a lot of the time. So, and especially towards the end of the weekend, DK had some like insane backline dives. The pulse bombs were on point, and he had some clutch moments. He clutched up on Blizzard World with like a 2K against the Gladiators to make sure that Boston won that map. So like, DK, another standout player for me. I think he did great this weekend. So there you go, Boston Uprising. Moving on to the other teams in the group, we had the LA Gladiators advancing and the Washington Justice falling short. Starting out with the LA Gladiators. After all the scrim rumors and all the shenanigans the past 3 weeks, is your confidence restored in the LA Gladiators? That's my question to you.
No. Like, well, here's the thing. We knew that they were going to be good, but I don't think you can watch these matches and say that they were great by any means. I think for me, the 2 standout things that like really just I couldn't get over, even with the wins and everything that's going on, is Dante really struggled at certain times to play the Winston. I don't know if that's like a team strategy thing, or if he's just like going in and not getting that follow-up. And the second one, Kai just isn't living up to the weight of quality of player that we give him, right? Like he is considered was considered one of the best Western hit scans in the league. We didn't see that this weekend. And, you know, once again, it's been 1 weekend. It doesn't really matter. This is some form of like preseason pro-am, right? But for right now, those are the 2 glaring issues that I saw from their play.
I'd say Babel actually had a really good tournament for what it's worth. I think
Babel? You mean?
Yeah. Babel? Jesus
Babs?
Christ.
You mean Babel?
Babs?
Yeah, you mean Babs?
Babs? Okay, I'm going to say it right now. Babel. Right? That's it?
Babel? I think it's Babel. I actually think it's Babel.
Babel?
But not Bell. It's like Bob. I honestly don't know. I've been told 19 different ways.
Oh, the people are gonna hate this, and that's what I'm looking for.
They are gonna hate it,
and that's what I'm living for.
I don't know if you saw it, Scott, or you were in the call at the time, but each of us like messaged a different person on the Glads, and we all got different fucking answers.
Yeah.
So literally not our fault. By the way, so yeah, I blame fucking Astro and Unter and Face and, you know, everybody else for troll. It's probably just an elaborate troll at the end of the day. I wouldn't be too surprised. But I thought he had a pretty decent look to him coming in. Rookie, obviously, to the Overwatch League. And he's been around for a little while. I need to check his Wikipedia. I swear. Yeah, O2 Blast, Team BM.
On Spitfire,
fuck me. Dude was on Spitfire, the tragic year.
Yeah, you don't remember?
Oh my God. No, I did
He was Sanguinar. He was with Sanguinar. Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay, well, maybe not a rookie to the fucking Overwatch League, but he might as well have his rookie year this year.
Have another one, buddy.
London in 2020 was sus. I do remember. Yeah, because they had the like 10-man roster or some shit.
London in 2020 was better than London 2021. 110%. London 2021 was like literally a bottom 2 team in the Overwatch league.
How many wins did London 2020 get? How many wins did they get in 2020?
I can't remember, but it's not even about the number of wins. They simply were better. They simply were better.
Yeah. You're probably right.
All right. Well, regardless, I think he had I can't believe I called him a rookie. That's really funny. Yeah, he had a good showing. I think Kevster as well showed up. Astro kind of disappointed me.
Not
yeah, well,
quite,
that's the thing,
almost.
right? He's always the consistent factor of the Gladiators, which is great. Astro didn't have a good game either. He Ajaxed maybe twice. I know he Ajaxed once at least. He was just dying randomly, it felt like, and he just didn't feel like he was on the top of his game. I know Glads, didn't they only just arrive as well? Like all
that was the Glad's cope. The Glad's cope was they had just got in there. They were that was the big cope.
And the team did disappoint me. Maybe it was the kind of we've only all just arrived in the team house and stuff like that. But Astro wasn't playing at the top of this game. You've already mentioned Kai. I think Barbell had a really good tournament so far. Kevster too, but he's always been a consistent factor. Dante struggled. The team is not hitting at the moment. But hey, that's what preseason's for, baby. It's a warm-up. Warm up to the regular season. So
they weren't awful, right? Like, don't get like people are going to take this and be like, "Oh my god, they still think the Glads is trash." No, but they just aren't Atlanta or Boston right now. They're not hitting in the same way.
Yeah, they're not. I agree with you, but there's also the fact that they played Boston extremely close in both of those maps. Like they could have won both of those maps.
Also, I mean, their group was way harder than Group A or B, in my opinion.
Those 3 teams, we'll get to Washington Justice as well.
Yeah,
really good. So I respect the Gladiators still because I saw a lot of good things, especially in that match against the Boston Uprising and the Washington. Let's get to Washington Justice. Let's just get the bad out of the way. They went out on that last map with a questionable substitution. It was a talk of the town. After Sunday as well, where they Ben Best looked amazing all weekend, and then they sub in Mirror for Esperanza, the very last map in their series against the LA Gladiators, and Mirror stuck on the Winston. We were talking about on the watch party that subbing in Mirror, completely fine with that defensible decision. We just thought it'd be on a different hero than Winston, but then Get Amaze came out on his Twitter the day after and said that, Esperanza, that's Mirror's map. Like, Mirror plays Esperanza for us in scrims, and that's his map, so I'm going to sub him in when Esperanza comes around. But didn't completely buy Mirror spending time on that Winston, because it didn't look ultra clean. I'll say that. It didn't look
It's giving Repel Raucus sort of vibes. It's giving Repel Raucus sort of vibes.
That's a throwback.
This is the time that you do that shit. Like, you just give Mirror a map.
Sure,
right? Like, obviously, maybe during your elimination match, like, you could have potentially made an exception to the rule. But at the end of the day, you scrim different players on different maps. You're just giving everyone a chance to sort of like stretch their legs, get used to it. So I don't hate it, even though it definitely could have gone differently if Ben Best was in. And I didn't. I also was hoping that Mirror would at least play like Doomfist or something. But at the end of the day, I think it's not the worst thing in the world. I think fans are overreacting because it's just preseason.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not. I want to make it clear. I'm not just straight up like hating on the sub at all. Like, I'm not saying it was like an abhorrent sub. I think in many of these matches, you can straight up say that like it's the pro-am. Some teams literally take it more seriously than others. And if you want to sub players around because that's how you do it in scrims, because you're trying to figure out what to do for the regular season, fine. I'm completely by that. So not in any way will I be, like, call Washington out for making this sub. But it did look a little bit funny and questionable at the time, considering how important that map was to make it out of the groups. And actually, like, had they won that map, they would have been in, the pro playoffs coming up this weekend. So let's get that out of the way. Besides that, Washington Justice looked really good. They surprised me. I mean, I already said last week, like, I'm questioning this team. I want to see it first. I have my doubts about this team. Just doubts cleansed. Like, Alfie was really good on the Tracer. Ben Best had an amazing weekend on Winston as well. Like, he just kept pace with everybody on the Winston. So my question is Washington Justice a dark horse? Are they like legitimately like a dark horse for you now coming up to the regular season? Because they won't be playing more in the pro-am because they're out. But going into the regular season, do you think that Washington Justice could compete with some of these mid-table teams and maybe be a bit more respectable than we thought of them a couple of weeks ago?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, they didn't really have a problem with their DPS line, I'd say. Alfie and Flora kind of popped. Alfie especially. Obviously, we already kind of knew he was a goated player. Well, okay, not goated.
Well, some of us.
But like, we already knew he was definitely an above average DPS. So he's very good, like very good. Him and Flora, I think, had a good tournament so far. It was a little bit disappointing, obviously, to see Mirror in, but Get Amaze did tweet. I think maybe someone mentioned that a second ago, but Get Amaze did tweet. It's like, look, we've tried this. Yeah, there you go. I'm just reading it right now. I'm not gonna lie, Johnny. I didn't hear you say it. I just
didn't listen to a word Johnny said. Didn't listen to a word he said.
Thank you. We'll get AVRL for next weekend. Thank you.
Yeah. Obviously, it was a little bit disappointing to see that on the elimination game, but I think they still exceeded most people's expectations. There are obviously a lot of diehard Washington Justice fans out there. There always kind of have been. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they disappointed you slightly. I don't know, because you thought they were going to be rank 1. But I think for most people who had them at kind of a mid-table team, and then depending on how like we discussed before, like communication problems and stuff like that, like how's that going to get sorted? I think they did above and beyond what people kind of expected them, especially the first showing as a new team like this.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like there's nothing bad to be said. I don't expect them to. I think they're going to struggle to get over that like top 5 hump. I think there might be like that gatekeeper for that team of like fighting for the middle of the pack. That 6-7. I was definitely very impressed with like what they were able to show. Not just that, like, oh yeah, we know that they can play like Brawl and stuff like that. They showed that they can play the dive and they can play it clean against some teams that we expect to be some of the best at that. So, massive props to these guys. Massive props to Get Amazed and the Washington Justice for committing to this team when a lot of people doubted them. So I want to see more of these guys against more Overwatch League teams, because they looked really good against the contenders teams and they almost beat the Gladiators. So I really want to know what their ceiling is for this roster.
Yeah. I mean, that's the big thing right now. I think they're because the biggest thing coming in is that like we saw the roster when it got announced. We're like, this is a pretty good roster. This is not like an awful roster on paper. It's just like, how do they mesh? It's essentially like it's like little bro to Boston. It's like Boston, like insane players across the board, but like how do they mesh? And that's like kind of how I feel about that, more so amplified with Justice. They looked real. Honestly, the biggest thing is that since they looked so good on dive, which is one of the things I didn't expect them to be like particularly like, I don't know. I didn't expect them to be like, and also it wasn't just dive. The thing is, I was expecting to play a lot of like Lucio Kiriko dive with Teru. They played a lot of Lucio Ana with Teru. And Teru's Ana was not bad. It was pretty good at moments. Like he had some great plays. Like obviously I think at points, like I think better players potentially would have made different decisions than him in particular moments, and like where they allocated their, and like hitting their nades in particular, and like where they like allocated and set up their positions.
There was some positioning as well and stuff.
Exactly.
You pointed out where he like set himself up to die on Ana essentially.
There was some for sure, and some of it was like they're set up for nade, and like but part of it is like a better Ana player would like potentially like make it where they can just hit the nade differently. But like the point being is that like, to me, it's like, okay, not only did they play dive, but they didn't even play full Lucio Kiriko dive the whole time. They played a little Ana dive, which alleviated some of the things of like, okay, maybe we keep seeing Teru like flex into that role. FD God, looked good, like had moments where I think that, some unfortunate Ajaxes and some fortunate plays, but still like a very good player. I think like we're gonna have to see like definitely more awareness and game sense out of FD God as we go forward a bit, but like the mechanics are still there. That was always something that FD God definitely had. So I'm kind of big on this roster a little bit. I just want to see how they flex into different metas is the biggest thing. Because like they potentially beat the Winston allegation meta. But like what happens when you have like a diva? Because neither Mirror or BinBest really historically has played that hero. Additionally, like what happens like when we get like when Flora, like is Flora gonna have to play like there's a lot of different things that are essentially that you can permutate on this roster. I'm like, okay, I'm interested to see, but it looked good. And for showing on a meta I wasn't expecting him to play full time. Great stuff. In fact, if anything, BinBest on Winston looked better than the times we saw BinBest on Ryan, which was like insanity.
Yeah.
But also like that was also probably because I bet their team functions a lot better with the dive, and so BinBest gets a lot more impact because his DPS are more synced to him and like have a lot more impact on that, especially with Alpha on Tracer, than they did on like more Ryan centric composition.
Yeah, I mean the Winston was like, and I pointed this out as well in a YouTube video I made. Like his Winston was just like so good. Like the tempo he was playing at there was just so much confidence. Like when they would even like do something simple as like chase staggers, where they'd cap something on like King's Row and they'd push deep. Like the pace, the just like confidence in their own play, it was just like so much fun to watch. Alfie is always in the back line. So you have a Tracer that loves to dive backlines. Just like Alfie, it's a couple of times this weekend, he would just like 1 versus 2 the supports. It was just unbelievable. Pull spawn one of them and kill the other. And then you have Benbest really pushing the pace as well to sync up with Alfie. The dives were like really good. The Primal Rage stuff from Benbest as well, I was very impressed by his Primal Rage mechanics. He would like chase down Tracers and get picks on those. So that just inspired like a lot of confidence in Benbest's play. And so now you have a really good Winston player who can also play Reinhardt at a really high level. I think that Mirror potentially could shoulder a lot of like the off-tank stuff, and I'm confident in him as a player that he could do a good job on those heroes. So I feel really good about the Washington Justice moving forward. You know, I'm unsure if they can compete with teams like, you know, Florida Mayhem, Boston Uprising, Atlanta Reign. Like, no, probably not. But like Toronto Defiant, you know, can they compete with Toronto Defiant? I'm not going to like, you know, London Spitfire. These are now teams that I don't consider them equal to, but I could definitely see Washington Justice, the way they played this past weekend, that they're like contending with those teams for like the below top tier kind of spots in the league, right? So I think we're all universally pretty high on the Washington Justice in that regard and pretty impressed. So there we go. Won't be seeing them though. We got LA Gliders and Boston Uprising advancing. Now, moving on to Group D then. You mentioned Houston Outlaws just a little bit earlier in the show, but Houston Outlaws, another team, they went 8-2. A little bit more trolling from the Houston Outlaws than we would like. They
a lot more trolling.
They play a lot of different compositions, but not necessarily in a good way. Does this trolling like worry you, or do you straight up think it's just straight up trolling? Like it's fine. We're not gonna see them play Pharah. They did play Pharah a couple times actually in a couple of different matches. But then we, you know, of course we won't see Fearless at Roadhog anymore. I think my stream just died.
Yeah, it's only just
it did for a second because I was like, "What's happening here?"
Yeah, my OBS is showing 0 kilobyte per second, but the recording is still live, so audio listeners can hear us fine. But I hope the YouTube stream is still up. Okay, now it's green. So I hope
we're back. Hello.
I think we're back on the YouTubes, but the audio podcast was perfectly fine this entire time, so you don't have to worry. But yeah, Houston Outlaws. Do you still think like they're a top tier team, or is there any reason for concern here with 2 maps dropped this past week?
Dude, if you take that trolling as anything to be like worried about, you need to get the brain scanned maybe. Like, come on now. I don't think Violet is going to be inting into the backline with Moira, then getting a double kill on like Overwatch League teams. There's just no fucking with Orb, by the way. There's just no way that fucking happens. Like we saw a little bit of trolling with the Hog, and I don't think there's anything to worry about.
Oh,
dude.
They're just fucking with people.
They are just fucking around. They're having a good fucking time. They're playing really whatever they want to fucking play by the looks of it, which is okay. We did expect teams to do this. I think the Houston Outlaws are the very top end of like, oh, we do a little bit of trolling, a little trolling here. Like, and that, I think that's okay. I mean, I don't know do we even rank Group D like before? I think all of us would have had Outlaws making it out quite easily, if not top position, just on the caliber of their players and how the team looks this year. You can't take the trolling for anything more than just a little bit of fun.
Yeah. And like, I was it Fearless's interview after, he was like, oh yeah, the team told us like this is some like kind of like preseason like fun tournament. So I legitimately just don't think they care. Like they straight up just like don't even think, because like it's not related to Overwatch League points. They're like literally obviously just having fun with it. I don't think it's that deep. Like they just don't care. Obviously they're a great roster. They can just show like how strong they are on individual players. The only thing that I'm really taking away from this that we didn't already know is Pelican Tracer, kind of nasty these days. Like it looked much improved to what it was last year. And I think that's an important piece for them, because I was worried about that. Like last year he said, I'm not confident in Tracer. That's why I'm playing the Genji over the hero. But he says he's been putting a lot of work in it and it looks good.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, I think Outlaws across the board they're still obviously very good. They did a little trolling, but like it was you know, that's just on them. Like realistically, I do think like it might have just because also the group was hard was pretty hard. Like
to the YouTube afterwards if the live stream is just that messed up. So
yeah.
We are technically still recording, so I think we can just keep
going.
going.
Let's just keep going.
I think we just keep trucking along.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
If you guys fade out, if my internet is so poo-poo that you guys just disappear, I will run the show till you guys get back. Don't worry about it. So I think we'll just keep going. And then if the YouTube live stream is too messed up, the VOD on the live stream is too messed up, I'll just upload the local recording I have. And don't worry, there'll be a complete episode. It won't be too scuffed, I promised. But yeah, you were talking about how the group was very difficult, Group D, and you didn't expect Twisted Minds to be that good.
I didn't expect Twisted Minds or New York to be as good as they were, honestly. Because New York, I mean, honestly, showed up pretty big. So, like, I think overall, like, though, and they had Defiant, which is obviously a good team. So, like, I'm not worried about Houston. They trolled. They literally matched the Pharaoh comp into the one trick Pharaoh team. Like, and actually that team ended up not being that one tricky even, but like that is their one trick essentially. So like that was like just them trolling. They played Moira, they played Hog, you know, like they trolled. And so like that was against Redbird though, to be fair. But I think no one should be worried about Outlaws yet. The Pelican Tracer was obviously, like we said, it was good. Everything about it was, you know, they still looked great across the board. Their backline looked potentially, you know, also like we thought was going to be really fucking nasty. Looked really, really, really good. I mean, Shu literally like won them some maps with sleeps.
That was one of the best flex support games like I've seen in like a while.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. The amount
and
of
Happy still got it. Happy still got it.
Happy still got it.
He still got it. Like, you know, there's nothing. I don't think there's nothing to be worried about. It's just like obviously they had like, you know, there was some moments where they like just didn't take it as seriously, and they had some tough opponents, and like, what does that mean for us to move on? We'll have to see. So we'll just have to see more against them against actual Overwatch League teams, right? But it's a good sign still for Outlaws. I think everyone expects them to be good, and they are. They're great. They're a very good team.
Yeah. Yeah, that backline just like blew me away. Definitely like we knew it was gonna be great, but the way they just like took over the game, and then you have Fearless and Happy and Pelican just popping off. We didn't even see Gargoyle, I believe. So I don't think we did.
I don't think so. Maybe not in the country.
But
I can't remember honestly. I remember mostly seeing Fearless. So,
but yeah, pretty confident in the Houston Outlaws. Let's talk about the Toronto Defiant then. They did drop that one match to the Houston Outlaws. But besides that, a team that is playing a lot of different stuff. It seems from their substitution and stuff that they're similarly, you know, taking Pro-Am with a grain of salt. But there were some legitimately good things. And I don't know if this is kind of what we expected from Toronto Defiant. I will ask this. Hydron was the big standout player for me on the Toronto Defiant this past week. Do you think this is the year where Hydron could potentially win Rollstar on his role? Was he that impressive to you guys?
I think Toronto's gonna have to do really well for him to get a Rollstar, because like there's 4 DPS Rollstars, and that's across all regions. So he's got to get over like, you know, Shy and Leaf, who are going to be on Hongzhou Spark and going to be dominant. Then we got like, you know, Proper, who's probably going to, you know, dominate again from what we've seen. Then you got Lip. Then you got, you know, a million other players. Like, it's a hard role to crack. I agree that he'll probably be in the conversation if he keeps playing this way. But to get that actual Rollstar would be a massive thing.
I can't believe you didn't say Alpha Yi.
Yeah, and Alpha Yi, I guess.
I guess. I mean, I think Hydron was really, I mean, he was really good last year too. And he's now on like an overall, like a team that's many positions have been upgraded across the board. They have greater synergy, or at least they should. So like, I think I mean, Hydron, he's a nutcase. He's a nutcase player. I also still continue to be really, really impressed by Ultraviolet. I think Ultraviolet is the best Western Flex support, in my opinion. I do think Crimzo can give him a run for their money, but like I do think that Ultraviolet is just insane. I think he's a very, very good player. And also RuPaul. RuPaul is definitely in that conversation too. But like UV though, I still think for me is kind of like the front runner in many ways. I think he's a great player, and the team looked good. Speedily also, I was a little bit worried when I saw like some of Speedily, like Speedily was potentially gonna have to play more Tracer for this team, because I knew Speedily was like insanely good on flex projectile heroes and such. And I was like, well, what are they going to do for the Tracer role? Like, are they going to have Speedily played a bit more? And like, and overall, we see it in the Team USA trials as well. But like, Speedily's Tracer is very good. It's definitely nothing to be worried about at all. So they're good across the board.
He said in an interview that he's like hyper focused on playing Tracer and he wants to become the best Tracer.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, if Sparkle can do it, Speedily can do it, right?
Yeah, like,
so like it's definitely doable. It's 100% doable, and like Speedily looked great. So I feel good about this team. I feel good about this team. I think that this is and also they have something that's really and honestly, it's kind of was slept on a bit, but like the Majed Ultraviolet backline is insanely good when they play double flex support. It is really, really good. It's just, you know, they can't. Majed had a couple 100 elo chess moments, a little bit here and there.
Such a wild card. I love it.
He did have a couple 100 elo chess moments. For those that aren't aware, Majed received 100 elo on chess.com while playing chess.
Yeah. Doesn't that mean you have to have like, because don't you start at like 500? So you have to.
Yeah, it's kind of baffling that it even occurred. I don't even understand, but essentially we saw that occasionally in this series. But like also Majed, I thought he was in Toronto, but he's still not. So he's playing on ping. So like that can explain a lot of issues, but he's a very, very good player in terms of like his pure mechanical skill alone. So yeah, I think Defiant fans should be really excited because this team can be punching for a top 5. If they get everything together, they can be punching for that top 5 position in North America pretty consistent, right? So like, or higher.
I think they can go higher than that.
Yeah, exactly, or higher, right? I'm just saying like that's like that's where they really should, their floor should be.
Yeah, that's where they should be. Yeah. So. That's what you mean.
Also, like, I like the fact that we saw a lot of different kind of compositions from them. I mean, the Kalush Reinhardt wasn't something to, you know, hang on the Christmas tree, but we did see it, and it worked out. He had a couple of moments, and when you combine that with Speedily playing the May, Hydron had that super clutch on the Symmetra, for example, on Nepal Village, right? So we saw that. We saw them play Sigma on Nepal Sanctum, and they looked really good. Hydron's Hanzo, just absolutely nutcase. That sentence does make sense, but you get what I mean. And then, you know, playing the Winston stuff as well. So this is a team that we've seen play a lot of different stuff now. The Wrecking Ball is a question mark. You know, they've been trying to publicly try to get Mikey back onto this team somehow, you know. But overall, I just like we saw a lot of different stuff from them. They put Sam in on the Cassidy once in a while and, you know, tried out a different backline. So pretty optimistic in that regard. This is a team that is trying a lot of different stuff and looked pretty good on a lot of different compositions, right? So we'll talk more about Toronto Defiant when we get to the playoff bracket. Now, let's spend a little bit of time on Twisted Minds and New York Excelsior as well. Let's start with the New York Excelsior, actually. There were a few times we were questioning their lineups. Shockwave, Fitz. What's going on there? We don't know. Psycho had a couple of good moments as well. How did you feel about New York Excelsior? They went 1-3 because they lost that match to the Twisted Minds. But were you inspired? Was it kind of what you expected? How do you leave the Pro-Am feeling about the New York Excelsior going into the regular season?
I'm so mixed on this team, man. Like, when they had Fitz playing, he was an absolute fucking nutcase. And then they would swap Fitz out after Control and then put in the Shockwave Psycho. And honestly, at the start, it didn't look that inspiring at all. And it was like, why the hell is Fitz not in? It didn't really make a lot of sense. Fitz is still a beast. Why is he not just kind of starting for this team? But then towards the end of day number 3, day number 4, like the second week, Psycho and Shockwave started really like heating up. Like it was like, oh, okay, maybe we don't need fucking Fitz. Like this, it felt really nice. Like Fitz's flexibility, and in fact, the whole DPS line has got a lot of flexibility there. Shockwave can play a lot of long range hit scans. Psycho's May is very good. And we saw a lot of very good walls and like blizzards and blocks and stuff like that. I think he's a very good player. And then Fitz is kind of an all-rounder. Like Fitz can play a lot of different things very well at a very high level. So yeah, I guess I'm still kind of questioning this team, or like still feels a little bit questionable. Fitz definitely felt like the consistent factor for the team, but as the days went on, I thought everybody kind of pulled their weight.
Yeah, I have very low expectations for this team, so it was pretty easy for them to jump over that. When you see those 5 players in the server, you're like, actually, there is a lot of upside to this roster, and you can see that they're going to compete. As Jack said, there was some question moments. They did lose a match, you know, to Twisted Minds with like a pretty horrendous like breakdown on Esperanza. Like they had like double the kills on Esperanza, but they still went on to lose that match. That map, and which like it was a push moment, and they like just like messed up with the objective, right? And that's, you know, as I said, when you look at this team on paper, it's good, but the defining factor for a lot of us is, do they have the resources to be able to communicate together effectively as a team? And I think we saw some good things from them, but I'm a little worried that they're gonna start breaking down if things go wrong as we get deeper into the season. But as I said, I have very low expectations for this team, so they impress me a little bit. But
have they beaten the no translator allegations?
No. We don't even know who their coach is. They haven't announced who their coach is yet.
They technically haven't announced that, so like that's still up in the air. But I mean, I actually also I think the back line had a lot more synergy than I expected, and looked a lot better than I expected too. Like, Lep was a good player though, so like Lep had a good career in contenders. Lep was not bad on Houston by any means when the time that he played, but like obviously it was like, you know, it wasn't like necessarily a standout season by any means. But Lep and Creative had like great moments obviously with Soul, so like their backline looked pretty good. Their DPS line looked great. I think, though, you 100% keep Fitz in all the time. Just my personal opinion. I think you can choose what you want to do with the other ones, but like you got to keep Fitz in all the time. The guy's so fucking good. And Kellen looked good. You know, Kellen looked pretty solid. So like nothing incredible by any means, but Kellen looked solid. Also, they had Moving Fish come into play like Ramatra over Kellen.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. It kind of worries me, but it kind of doesn't, because the way Ramatra works, a lot of time you can kind of just play Ramatra and like the way you build your comp into anything realistically.
Wait, hold on. Moving Fish, Redbird, right?
Or who am I thinking of that came in to play Ramatra for them?
Kellan is their only tank.
Kellan's their only tank.
Oh, I was thinking of Redbird. Moving Fish came in. Yeah, you're right. My bad. My wires got crossed. No, you're right. I was thinking for some reason I got the wires crossed. It's because Moving Fish. It's because in their match they had Moving Fish come in when they were in New York. Yeah, that's what it was. And then I was like, oh, Moving Fish looked all right. But yeah, that's what it was. But did Kellen play Ramatra? Actually, now that I'm thinking about that, now I got the wires crossed.
Why do I think he only played Winston? Am I crazy?
He only played Winston.
I can't remember him on other things. He definitely primarily played Winston.
Either way, like that's still a worrying point. Is like, what is Kellen's flexibility for this team? So, but overall though, the team looked pretty decent. I think they look like they were like the little bro of Justice, and that, you know, like they had good players, and they worked at points it worked, and you know they have a lot to grow still, but it's not bad. It's not as heinous compared to like the offseason rumors when we thought this team was going to be a complete dumpster fire. So far, almost every team that is not Vegas has beaten the dumpster fire allegations. Yeah. So like, which is good.
Because when we were doing our power rankings, we were going to put New York Excelsior with LA Valiant and the Vegas Eternal and stuff like that. And I definitely don't think they're in that tier. They're definitely not many tiers above that, but they're not in that tier.
I think it was you who said, Custa, and we said it over the course of the weekend too. When you see that 5 in like the top right corner or whatever, and you see like Kellan on Winston, Shockwave, Fitz, Lep, Creative, you're like, wow, like there's some good players right there, and they could definitely punch upwards. So. New York Excelsior. Yeah, we'll see what happens when we do our power rankings. We're a bit undecided, maybe. I want to give a quick shout out before we move on to the playoff bracket to Twisted Minds as well. I believe actually that they won out of all the contenders teams when it comes to having the best score. So they get the.
I believe they did as well. Yeah.
$7,500 to the best contenders teams and $2,500. So.
Actually. Well, I don't know.
They received 5,000 each. I just saw this.
Yeah, because I think they split it with somebody.
They split it with Saints. Yeah, so Saints and Twisted Minds went 2 and 2 both. So they split $5,000 each going to Twisted Minds and Saints. Because they both.
But they did get more map wins. Technically.
Yes.
They went 5. They got 5 map wins.
But they did have the same map differential -1.
Yes.
So. But yeah, Twisted Minds. We saw a few different compositions with them. The Farah comp just seemed to work. Like. You know, there were a couple teams, like I think Toronto, I think, if I remember correctly, like they beat it. But
Toronto crushed it.
Yeah. But the Lambda Farah and the KSA Diva and the Nutella Mercy, it seemed to work.
Houston also, if they had not trolled, but you know, they did really well against it when they actually didn't troll, when they didn't mirror. And like, I still think like,
they didn't play against it. Houston never beat the Farah comp.
Yeah, but I'm saying like they would have beaten it if they had not trolled, in my opinion, because like it was pretty evident that like you just needed a really good Cassidy player with like the current meta and like with a good Ana and stuff, and like you just play and like you can beat it. You can definitely beat it. It honestly, it might have been close. That team could have been close to unbeatable if they had potentially some slightly better supports. Specifically, like I think Nutella was like pretty weak comparatively to like Slay. So I think Slay was pretty solid. I actually was really impressed with Twisted Minds because they kind of beat the one trick allegations because they pulled out some comps where they were playing UB Tracer and Quartz on the hit scan, and they looked legitimately pretty good. Like at moments on that comp, they looked legitimately pretty good. And plus, it helped that like KSA is just a fucking monster. KSA is a monstrously good tank player. So like I was actually pretty impressed. They by far out of all the contenders team, they impressed me the most. They impressed me more than in every other contenders team, in my opinion.
I did call it as well. I would like to toot my own horn.
Okay. All right.
You did, but honestly, so you did say you talked a lot about the Pharaoh one trick aspect, which is obviously big for them.
I think
they flexed off
disagree
of
with
that,
you. I don't think their flexing off of it was great. It was fine. It was better than I expected, but I don't think like
really hyped up Quartz, and we didn't have that many Quartz moments.
He had that one good Esperanza map. He had that one really good Esperanza.
Yeah, but I'm talking more so like I just think they had enough strength with like UB Slay and KSA to like they could reasonably get off that comp to where I was like, okay, like this is pretty solid. Like I still thought even on that comp they were better than the majority of the contender teams that weren't Saints, pretty much.
Yeah. UB's Tracer was really good throughout the weekend.
Yeah, so UB was impressed me a lot.
And we all agreed as well that KSA is like an Overwatch League level kind of off-tank player. So
also, this is important to note. That's like a first look at like what Saudi Arabia might bring to World Cup as well. Like you know, they have a lot of great Saudi Arabian players, and like that type of style and that type of composition could catch a lot of people out World Cup. So
yeah, here we go. All right. Group D. Any additional thoughts? Otherwise, we'll move on and do the typical Plat Chat bracket predictions. Because actually, we have pick'ems because of none other than Solomon.
Solomon.
Yeah,
Solomon. Go to. All right.
We already discussed the other groups, didn't we?
Yeah, we did that last week. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, moving on. We're moving on to the pro and bracket. We'll get through this, and then we'll get back to talking about LIFEWEAVER, guys. That'll be fun. Hell yeah.
Also, have you guys seen, I don't know if you've seen chat, but OG has literally just admitted that he was trolling and that you don't have to accept it. You can literally just grab people.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, where?
Huh?
Yeah, OG went back on it. And like people are saying that
Okay.
Wait, what?
Well, the bots had to, the bots auto accepted when I played it, so you know.
Yeah, so it's like.
Oh.
Christ.
Wait.
That's
not good. That's actually really bad.
No, it'll be fine. It'll be fun.
No, it's not fine. I don't think it is fine at all. I think literally this is like. I mean, let's do the bracket, then we'll talk.
Yeah, we'll get to the bracket. So, this upcoming weekend is going to be really fun actually, because I think, actually I don't know if this is on the website or anything, but are we live Friday, Saturday? No, Saturday, Sunday. Saturday, Sunday only.
Yeah.
Yep, and we got best of fives, not best of three. We're done with best of threes, hopefully for the rest of the year. We're back to best of fives now. And we got 4, 5, 6, 7 matches. Look at me doing math live on stream. We got 7 matches coming up this weekend. So we're going to run through the bracket quickly. And we can make all our individual brackets, but let's, come together, democratically agree here for a good bracket that represents Plat Chat, that doesn't bring shame to the Plat Chat brand. And then next week we can trump our own horn and say that we did amazing. So let's kick things off. Florida Mayhem against the London Spitfire. Who do we have advancing, guys?
Florida Mayhem, I think you have to go for. London looked okay, but I think Florida just looks so coordinated and so confident in their style with like the RuPaul Chorong backline. I think they're going to punch above their weight in this tournament.
The team is good.
Is there a way for London Spitfire to win with the Reinhardt? Do you think they bring the Reinhardt to the table? Because that's something that maybe Florida Mayhem doesn't have up their wheelhouse. Maybe that Florida would counter.
I don't think so, because I think Ramatra comps right now kind of shred the fuck out of Reinhardt.
True.
I think Ramatra, and someone's flexible enough to play Ramatra. Like I think Ramatra actually kind of Nemesis form. I think Ramatra fucking pounds the shit out of Ryan in a lot of matchups right now.
I also think Reinhardt loses to the Winston comp, like the Winston and Kiriko comp, a lot these days. You've seen that one of the big issues with why people have been playing Ramatra over the Reinhardt is Ramatra can at least sort of deal with the Winston somewhat, that composition. Well, I feel like Reinhardt just gets run around, and it's really difficult. If anyone's going to pull it off, it'll be Hattie, but I'm not sold that it's going to be better.
And the reason why I'm asking, by the way, is not because I'm labeling London Spitfire one tricks, but I think we can. All 4 of us agree that if it comes to the Winston mirror, I do think we all pretty much favor Florida Mayhem. So we're looking for ways for London Spitfire to win this matchup. if we were to see the Winston versus Winston, I think we all have massive amounts of respect for someone on For the Mayhem. And also what we've seen from Checkmate on the Tracer. Merit, of course, has been spectacular when they did play their group. So outside of the Reinhardt, it might be a bit of an uphill battle for Lone Spitfire in this one. Seems to be the case. Yeah. All right. Moving on. Boston Uprising versus Toronto Defiant. Jaws, who do you got?
There's a Boston, baby.
Boston?
Easy. Yeah.
Easy?
That's hard.
3-0?
Easy. I don't think it'll be a 3-0, but I think I'd bet 2-1 for Uprising personally. But I think Boston win it. I think Birdring's just too good, man. And their backline is just unreal. I can't see them going down to Toronto. I think Toronto are very good, but then like Hydron's really popping. I just don't see it, dude. The way Boston were playing, again, yeah, condensed teams, yada yada yada. But I still think they're so good, so good. I'm very high. I'm rising up right now. 3-1. Oh, 3-1. Yeah. Sorry, 3-1. Yeah, first to 3.
Okay. I think this is gonna be a giga banger. I think this is. I will say after watching Boston play, I do favor Boston a bit. And I would probably take like a 3. I think. Okay. I think I take a 3-2 Boston right now. Defiant can still, and I it's not set in stone because like this is our first look. It's just right now across the board. I'm like, across the board, if Decay keeps playing as well as Decay did on that Tracer, I think he can 100% match speedily on the Tracer. I think the hit scan, that's like Birdring is a fucking goat. Hydron, I think, is fucking good. Their backlines, I think, are relatively equivalent, but I think overall, like, I would probably take the Boston backline at this time. And then Smurf to me is just a more flexible tank than Kaluj in many aspects. Though Kaluj has the added advantage of like I would take Kaluj on like things like Ryan and Zarya, right? And even some of the other traditional, maybe some other stuff like.
All right.
Oh, that's very loud. So yeah, I think I'll take Boston. I think Boston look good. They look really gelled. Like I think they look clean across the board. But I would not be shocked if Defiant wins this. I would not be shocked, but I think Boston should, in my opinion, right now.
Custa looks like he's in agony.
He is angry.
Wow.
I don't know if this is me, but I feel like I just doubt Boston right now. Like I can't get over it in my heart.
Doubter Boston persona right now.
Like my heart just doesn't want to let me just because like I agree with all of your points. I will say I think the Birdring is being like praised as the second coming of Jesus, and he's just as good as Lip right now. When we've seen him play like one good game against the Gladiators, like
sure, but also. Birdring also had a career before that where he was really
and
really
he's great,
good.
right? But and that's it. That's why I'm not like fighting it. But like people are acting as if like this man is like now in the same category that we consider Lip right now. So like I want to see it, but I'm just gonna go for Toronto because my heart is telling me not to go for Boston. My brain is telling me to go for Boston, but my heart just says I think Toronto has a shot at this. But I'm going to go 3-2. It's going to go the distance. I think Boston should be favored, but my heart says Toronto. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, people have been talking about my villain arc this year, and it's brewing something. I just love this. I'm going to make it a Custa versus Boston Uprising thing because after Boston Uprising had this weekend, they were so ready to just like start digging the Plat Chat grave and like toss us in there, like ready to go. They were so delighted to see our worries about Boston Uprising proven wrong. And Custa, you were one of the more vocal ones.
It's a long season. That's all I'm going to say. It's a long season. There's a lot of things to come. Even if Boston, proved me wrong in just this match, it's a long season. I can't see this team living up to the hype across the line. My heart just can't get over it with everything.
You actually are waking up extra early to be a hater. I
am. Like I hate myself and what I'm doing because I'm just unreasonably rude to Boston and doubting them for what feels like no reason.
Oh, I've been there. Buddy,
I can't get over it.
Yep, I've been there. I will say though, it's an incredibly interesting matchup because I do think it's something a weakness for Boston Uprising. I was not a huge fan of the Kalios Diva on Blizzard World. I think he had a few plays that were a bit out of sorts, like the way like he didn't even like defend the point against like Dante Zarya. I was just like, what is this? What's going on here? And then on point B as well, there were a few questionable moments. In my bracket before the groups took place, I did have Toronto beating Boston before. But after seeing Boston, to protect the reputation of Plat Chat LLC as a respectable company, I do think I gotta go with Boston Uprising here.
That's smart.
Because I just think for Plat Chat's reputation, I think Boston Uprising is the correct choice here. So, but I'm rooting for my own personal bracket with Toronto. Anyway, moving on. Stream that again. We're back. Okay, chill out, YouTube chat. Houston Outlaws against the Shock. This is a giga banger.
Yeah.
This is a giga banger. Where do you even start with this one? As a host, I don't even know where to start with this one, guys. Where do you go?
I don't know if it is a giga banger.
I don't know if it's a giga banger.
I don't know if it is a giga banger.
I hit it twice in a row.
I'm not sure.
I kind of agree with Johnny. You know, like Shock is still playing on ping. They're still in Korea, right? But I still think the level that they're playing right now, I wouldn't say is the best.
Okay, let's say this. Sorry, Joss. I know you're defending this. Sorry, I appreciate you, Joss. Thank you for defending me.
You said. I thought you were talking to Joss.
I was
so sure you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not one of my finest hosting jobs today, guys. But anyone can talk about proper Tracer and how you feel like it match up against the Houston Outlaws.
I mean, I was defending Shock. I think still them playing on ping is, it's a problem. They didn't have their best look against Trick Room, but I still think it's the San Francisco Shock. The coaching staff has always been ready to fucking get in there, muddle it up a little bit, ready to get going again. I don't really see them having a massive downward turn towards the end of a bracket like this. I still think, maybe it won't be a giga banger, but I still think it'll be a decent game. The Houston Outlaws, on the other hand, do look exceptionally good. I'd personally take Outlaws over the Shock right now, just because the ping factor plus like them being a little bit shaky. But I don't think this is anywhere. I don't think we really need to doubt Shock like as much as we've doubted other teams in the past.
I think that people are seeing the Shock beat Vancouver and Timeless and being like, see, everything's fine. Right? Like, and I don't think that's enough. Like, and Proper had to go, remember, Proper had to go sicko mode on some of those Tracer moments to really, get them across the line as well. So I don't think, first of all, with the visa issues, I'm not sold that Shock are, really putting their best foot forward or, they actually care that much in the grand scheme of things. And they just have such a massive disadvantage with the ping that I'd be surprised if Shock could get over Houston. To me, this tournament's kind of just a wash for Shock. But I'd love for them to prove me wrong. They absolutely look better with Proper on that Tracer, but that doesn't mean as a team they got dramatically better. The only thing that I could see that would get them over the line is when they played Proper Tracer, He Sang Sombra, they looked really good. Like that King's Row, He Sang Sombra impressed me a lot. And when they started, leaning towards it, but Junbin and Max, that's what I'm keeping an eye on. Have they worked that out of who's going to play, who's playing the Winston? Is Junbin going to keep switching to D.Va and Doomfist when he's in instead of just really committing to that Winston? There's a lot of questions for that for me with that.
Avast, where are you leaning on this one?
Yeah, I think also Scott has the right. I mean, they literally don't they have the players aren't. I mean, the players aren't here. You can't expect a team to win a match when they're on 200 plus. They're on 150-ish ping, or something like that, 120, 150 ping or something shit like that. That's just even if you it's just I find it pretty hard to do. Against a good team, right? Even if you're a great team, it's a hard ask. So regardless of what other levels of their mentality or role swaps and stuff, I think it's a 3-1 Outlaws. I think I'll give Shock a map because Proper Tracer does hyper pound, but I just think I currently have Outlaws.
I will say, as the wearer of the Shock jersey, this could I am also too leaning the Houston Outlaws, but I am also just mentally prepared for this to be one of Proper's games where he just takes over. Because I do believe that Max and Junbin, that situation is a bit questionable. Maybe they figured something out. They did have 2 weeks break leading into the playoffs now. You can figure out a lot of stuff in 2 weeks of scrim time. and maybe they'll come in with like a pretty solid idea of what they want to play and how they want to play it. But like, I am not going to forget about Proper being able to just take over some of these games. And if you can slow down this game, was it? They did play, I'm not forgetting this, right? They did play that D.Va composition, like you said, Custa, with the D.Va, Sombra Tracer, and then Kiriko Ana, right? They
have played towards the end. They started playing Kiriko Ana, which was a much better look for them.
And if they play that comp where it's, you know, appropriate, of course, on the right maps, I could honestly see Shock beating the Houston Outlaws here. I am totally ready for Shock to come in looking better 2 weeks after their upset loss against Trick Room. So, you know, that's totally in the realm of possibility. But God damn it, I'm personally going to go with Shock in this one. I don't care. I'm over it. But it seems like the consensus seems to be the Houston Outlaws.
Here's the thing: is I absolutely see where you're coming from, but it's like absolutely shock bias, shock copium. Dallas fans are like yelling at their screen right now of like, if Dallas did this, we would not allow it. Like that is genuinely just like some hard shock copium of we know how good this roster and these players are, but they genuinely don't deserve this pred. And that's why I can't go for it. I can't back you up on this.
Sure, yeah, that's a good way to put it. They don't deserve the pred, but with my shock jersey copium, I will go there. But it seems like we're for the sake of Plat Chat LLC, we'll go with Houston Outlaws here for the social media post. And we got our final little quarterfinals matchup here: Atlanta Reign versus LA Gladiators. Do want to say from, you know, an org fan base perspective, another giga banger. But I feel like we're probably favoring one team over the other.
I feel like we're throwing around the term giga banger around a little too loosely.
I've used one giga banger.
No.
I've used a single giga banger so far in this lineup.
Yeah. I think this one is gonna be a dismantling of like, and that's not even. This isn't even me talking down to Gladiators. That's how high I am on the Atlanta Reign squad right now.
All right. Yeah.
I think Reign are the best team in the world right now.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, we don't know what all the teams in APAC are yet, so you know,
we don't know about
we have to hold off. Let's see what Chengdu feels.
That's true. Yeah.
Give them a chance.
But,
sure, best team in the West then, in that case.
No, honestly, I love that you're saying like best team in the world, like it's the baseball MLB, something like they're the world champions. It's like the best team in the world, but they're only playing in the North American region. But yeah, I mean, I think we all.
What, the tier 2 team going to upset? I don't see any tier 2 teams here right now. Like, yeah, they are the best team for sure. They look too clean. They look too clean and clinical. I don't think that. Okay,
dude, Jack is like, where are you going? Is your whole neighborhood on fire? What's happening?
What's going on?
I mean, maybe.
You good?
Are you good, Jack?
Yeah, go look out the window. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe just check out things a little bit. You know, I heard a fire alarm, and now I hear a fire truck.
Yeah, what's going on?
I mean,
over there?
both of them are fire trucks. Maybe there's just a massive blazing inferno that's happening down my road. I just don't know.
Okay.
I don't think you can argue though against the Atlanta Reign. They're the best team right now. There's no shot. I do think the Gladiators, they've looked okay in sorts, right? And we talked about it before where Kev's just like, oh, he's really good, obviously. I think Bubble had a good tournament so far. Do I think they can beat the Atlanta Reign? Fuck no. Atlanta Reign are so clean. They're taking this shit seriously too. They're just like in, out, done. Didn't lose a single map. Every map looked convincing.
Okay.
Also, I want to follow this up with, I was a Gator to head coach doubter when I first saw the announcement. It's another player going into a head coach role. I'm doubting it. So far, what he's done with this Atlanta Reign squad and the US World Cup trials, like honestly, I've been very impressed. Like,
okay, I'm gonna walk that back a little, Scott.
Oh, you're gonna walk that back? Because
let's be honest.
Let me pause.
Let's be honest. Their group had fucking, what was their fucking group or program? They had Valiant, Eternal, Saints, and a weak-looking Spitfire. Let's hold off a bit. And they have it. Let's hold off a bit.
Okay, here's the thing. You're probably right, and I'm thinking, but like, it's, as I said, it's not. I'm not just using this prime as an example. I like what they've done with the World Cup. I think the way that they've like done everything, structured everything. I think the way that they've been structuring their team in the Atlanta Prime so far, the way they're subbing in players, the way they're utilizing people, you would think, oh, that's an easy thing to do. But we've seen cataclysmic things happen with some of these top tier rosters.
Sure.
I'm just giving him a basic nod right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's extreme because also the World Cup stuff is a lot of that is Albert too, So like I'm not saying
Albert bias coming in,
I mean, it's not Albert bias. Albert has a lot of history running teams going wrong. And I'm not giving Gator is doing a great job so far. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve his credit. I'm simply saying like it's a little early to call.
He's my coach of year of us. You cannot take
it's a little early to be like, what's he doing?
Stop the count.
I think he does have he's a very, honestly, a pretty, good mentality, good head on his shoulders, when I've talked to him recently. So like, I'm definitely not saying that Gator is not capable. It's a little early. It's just a little tad early. Especially when you play fucking Valiant, Eternal, and Say.
Couldn't have done it without you, Gator.
So yeah, that one was a little brutal. Also, I know they're not in this, and we've already done our post-mortem, but my God, our Eternal so bad.
Oh yeah,
like it's disgusting. It's just truly disgusting. Like I'm really rooting for this team. I'm rooting for this team because we've had discussion year after year after year when there's like one really turbo ass team. It's fun to make fun of them. It's fun to be hyperbolic, but like, holy shit, I don't want them to be this bad because it's just gonna be time thievery every time it occurs.
We don't say entertainment thieves much anymore ever since Bren and Josh left, but they're well on their way to being entertainment thieves if that's what we're gonna watch for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I know that like I really truly believe that some of those players could have some potentially better careers elsewhere. It's just this team, Al Pacino voice. This team is ass. Like it needs like this happening? Needs to. That needs to end. Okay, we need to move on. We move on.
Before we move on, one quick thing. I'm gonna defend my Giga Banger. I know we'll see Stalker primarily on the Tracer, but Liv versus Kevster. I'm just gonna put that out in the world. I'm looking forward to Liv versus Kevster.
Yeah, Liv versus Kevster is fun. I mean, like I don't think it's not an issue about like parts realistically, other than maybe like tank line positions. It's I think these teams are like they're not like totally parity wise. They don't have equal parity by any means, but like it's close. It's just kind of like the Reign right now holistically look a lot better on an individual and team level. So
yeah. All right, moving on to the semifinals. We got Florida Mayhem against the Boston Uprising. A little bit closer this one, huh? Where do we go? This is getting tough now.
This is hard.
Checkmate versus Decay.
I personally would take Boston, and I'm going to tell you my reason why. My only reason why, because we still have very little data. My biggest reason is because Boston had a much harder group and went 4-0 and didn't drop any maps. Like Mayhem had Timeless in Trick Room. And then sure, Trick Room beat Jacques, but and they had a weak Shock, and they had like Titans who looked pretty decent, but nothing crazy necessarily. So like, I think I would probably take a Boston for this, but this is like just as wild card for me as the Defiant match. Like it's just as wild card right now. But I think I'd probably still take Boston simply because from what we've seen, they did a lot better in what looked to be a harder group. So
Joel,
we're not a lot better, but they did just as good.
Are you okay, Jules?
Yeah.
Where are we going?
Yeah, I'd take Boston too. I think it's a good point that they did have a harder group on paper for sure. Well, not on paper, just in general. I still think Boston, maybe I'm too high on Boston and, I'm risen up. And hashtag rise up. They are a good team and they will continue to be a good team. I do think this team has the capabilities of being a top 3, maybe even top 2 team as well. I personally had Boston and Reign in the finals. Of the pro am.
Bro, spoilers.
Oh, sorry.
Spoilers.
I have to go in a minute anyway. It's all right. You can spoil. Like, I think with the Boston Uprising, the only thing that does worry me slightly is when they start maybe chopping and changing around DPS. Like, when is Striker going to come in? Is that actually going to be as good as what we're seeing right now from Decay? I'm like a little bit concerned about that. But other than that, I'm like pretty damn sold on the Boston right now. It's been a good look for them. Although Florida Mayhem also look very, very fucking strong. If I had to put a scoreline on this, I'd want it to be like a 3-2. But it could be like a 3-1. I would, as a safety net, I'd say 3-2 for the Boston Uprising.
Custa?
Hashtag rise down. I've said everything I have about Boston. You guys know how I feel about this team. For that reason, I think Florida look exceptional in this meta. I think they've been playing it for a while. I think it's a really good look for them. And I think that there is potential that the Boston Uprising will get punished a lot more for their play, and they won't just be able to just sit in the back. Like the Gladiators literally just let the Boston Uprising do whatever they wanted when they played against them. I don't think you're going to get the same thing from Florida Mayhem. Someone's going in. He's either going to get absolutely farmed by the backline of the Boston Uprising, or he's going to feast, and he's just going to dismantle this Boston Uprising squad. So, but my heart says what my heart wants. Florida Mayhem.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I got Florida Mayhem in this one. I know the Boston Uprising went 8-0, but just a small little hint of recency bias. Don't forget how good Florida Mayhem were in week 1 in their group. And I know they played Timeless. I know they played Trick Group, whatever.
But they spawn camped
a weak shock, also a weak shock, and a pretty mediocre Titans comparatively. But I'm not disagreeing with. If you want to go with Mayhem, I think that's fair. We haven't seen a lot of cross-reference. They did look really good. It looks to be a pretty good meta for them. I will say, honestly, I'm just going to say at one point, Scott's going to have to, we're going to have to sit you down with a therapist for Boston. Because, it doesn't make, because, I hated Justice, but that's because Justice were, they kind of sucked at many points. And, they were, they did some stupid things, I hated Fusion because it was funny, but also at the same time, I still respected them. But at some point, if Boston keeps winning, you're gonna have to respect them.
There will have to be a formal apology, and I will back up on that. But as I said, I need. This is my hot take coming into the year. It's the thing that I need to stand by.
Yeah, it's your one. It's your one move.
It's my vice.
It's your big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. The season hasn't even started yet, so we need to keep this thing going for a while.
It's true.
I
think the Florida take is it's not crazy though. It's to me, it's I could see Defiant theoretically winning. I could see Florida winning. It's a little early to call. They both look good. So
sure.
Well, what do we do here then? Are you gonna come side with me and Johnny? Is that how?
No, I'm going with Boston. But so we just need to flip a coin or something.
Chat, what do you think? Chat, give us your thoughts, and then we'll see what chat says.
Let's go to chat.
Yeah. Moving on then. We actually have to hurry up here because I need Jaws to just go crazy about LIFEWEAVER for a bit before he has to go because he has things to do. So we'll hurry this up. We all think Atlanta Rain, right? We covered.
Oh yeah, it's easy Atlanta Rain for sure.
Yeah, we just love Atlanta Rain. So.
Yeah. We're the Atlanta Rain hype train.
Oh my God, chat actually looks pretty split.
Chat looks pretty split. I think they're more Boston though. I think there's more Boston in there than there is.
Just slightly. The Florida is coming up now. Screw you guys. I own Plat Chat. I'm going Florida.
Oh my God!
There was even. It was even.
Whatever. Whatever. Sure.
Honestly, whatever. Because Rain wins. Rain wins. So it doesn't matter.
I don't care who wins. They both win.
Rain is so good.
I just did the U.S. politics thing where I redraw the lines to make it go in my favor or whatever. So
I don't think Rain. By the way, I actually don't think Rain is a guaranteed win.
Really? You're not?
Don't think Rain's I don't think Rain's a guaranteed win because they had the easiest group of them all. They've literally been the least challenged team in this entire fucking tournament. I simply don't know. Rain, I think are good enough to make it to the finals. I think is an auto win against their opponent. Absolutely not. I absolutely do not. Their group was wet tissue paper. Their group was booty butt cheeks ass. Their group was so bad.
London.
They had Eternal, Valiant, and Saints in their group, and a weak London. Their group was ass. Their group was so bad.
You just convinced the world that they're just the best team, and they really
they simply haven't been challenged. They literally have not been challenged. They are the gifted child, and they could very well be it where they go up and it's you're one of those gifted and talented kids, and then you finally get to college and holy shit, I have to study. I guess this is gonna fail. It's I don't know. I think this is. I don't know if it's a guaranteed auto win.
All right.
By any means.
Cool rant. I'm picking Atlanta Rain.
Sure. Johnny's on his chaotic.
Custa, you got Atlanta?
Yeah, I got Atlanta. I think it's not as cousin dry as Avast says, but I would still choose Atlanta.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna pick Atlanta still, but I'm gonna pick Atlanta. But I'm just saying, I don't think it's a guaranteed win. By any means, I just don't have enough data to otherwise say.
There you go. The Plat Chat Pro and bracket. Ship it. Brenton, ship it. And if we're wrong, don't write back to us, please. I don't want to hear from you. All right. So what's going on with this thing? LIFEWEAVER. Apparently there's like content out now, like the abilities and stuff.
All the content creators have released videos, all that kind of stuff. So Jack, give us the juice.
Long ass fucking cooldowns.
Oh, really?
Yes, they are a lot longer than you'd think they'd be, but considering how powerful the abilities are, like lifting someone up versus and like pulling people. Also, the heal is slow as shit. Like,
does it heal for? Is that saying how much it's going to heal for?
You have to charge up the heal. Yeah. So like Karku's doing it there. You have to charge up the heal and then boom, and then you fucking.
So it's a big burst heal, but it has to. And also, does it? I'm assuming you don't have to aim.
Burst heal. Like,
it's relatively decent. 55 is pretty decent. Yeah.
The aim is very like, oh my god, dude, you could be aiming in fucking Narnia.
Is it like magnetic grenade?
It's dude, you could fucking be aiming top left and it'll fucking hit someone top right. Like it's very generous.
Okay, so it's a very generous. It's very generous heal.
It is. Which is the only thing that I found is like sometimes you could heal the wrong person potentially in a really fucky team fight, but you can do the same as Ana, right?
What's the base heal of the right click?
If you tap it, it does fuck all. It's
like, but they don't have they don't really have the they don't have the fucking mobility of a Kiriko, obviously, like the pure mobility or damage. Well, they have the dash, but they don't have the TP.
How much does the dash heal you for? Oh, I guess we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, so the dash is a very, very short distance, by the way. And also,
I'll split it up there. I just want to give a shout out to Karku, by the way. I'm stealing your video, Karku. Please go check out Karku's video.
Thank you, Karku.
Thank you, Karku. Go like his video. Thank you so much. Check out this channel.
It gets blocked by shields? Oh.
Yeah. He has two weapons too. I don't know if you saw in the trailer. So like when he's in the healing form, he's like golden, like light color, and then when he switches, he's like the purpley color. The purple is like a fucking needler from Halo. It doesn't like it doesn't home in or anything. It just kind of looks like needles. That
what the fuck did I just see? This is
wait, but it didn't heal. It also didn't heal. Interesting.
You could probably deflect the heal too.
Oh, it gets boosted by that. Okay.
Does it get mercy damage boosted, do you think?
Oh, I don't know.
That's rather odd.
I don't know.
I mean, surely it wouldn't get. I mean, I don't know. I guess has any because technically heals in the past, like Bap's heal gets boosted right through the window. But like, so I don't think. But Bap's heal doesn't get the boost from mercy.
Yeah,
right?
You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, so you like
the weapon in my experience didn't. Yeah, so it's like a 1 and a 2 thing. Here you go. The volley didn't do that much damage in my experience. Like it's definitely like a spammy kind of like you'll have to be kind of close to somebody.
So it's kind of like an LG. It's just like a track. Is it a tracking thing? Do you have to be kind of precise with how much damage?
Kind of. It's like very, 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 very fast projectile.
I was gonna say that's a lot of damage, but the clip is not very big.
No,
I mean, but if you can do 300 damage with a clip, if you
can murder a tracer,
that's not bad. Yeah. That's not bad damage. That's pretty good damage.
Is that damage? That's
a lot of damage.
Yeah, that damage is actually a shift plus that left click is actually like that's like pretty decent potential to dual.
But I guess you can't heal and shoot, right? You have to change.
No, you have to choose.
I thought that's true. The dash when you're in damage form, can you still not dash and heal?
Well, you can't heal in damage form, right?
But you can heal yourself.
The ability is separate, right?
But I'm saying it's like sure. Like the dash, right? Doesn't it? I thought the whole thing is the dash. When you dash, you heal people.
Right? How much health does the pedal have?
That looks like 400 maybe.
A lot, yeah.
It's really fast. Also, this is fast. That's pretty fast.
So once one person's gone up, you can't go back up.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you have to
go through enemies.
That's
okay, and it doesn't get eaten. It doesn't get. It does get reflected by shields.
You can super jump with that shit too. So you know, it like momentum, and then you jump at the very top, and you go woo. You can like jump a little bit higher than you should be able to go to. But there you go. Look, boom.
I think that
is that a set distance?
That's pretty fast.
It's a set distance.
That distance seems pretty far, Jack.
Yeah,
that's like a cast dash.
Also, it heals yourself.
How much does it heal for?
Yeah, I
guess 25. Ooh, that's not much health. I thought it was gonna be way more than that.
It doesn't cleanse anything either.
Yeah,
which is good. Holy shit! Imagine if that cleansed.
Yeah, sure.
Cast moment. Yeah, I guess the dash
I don't know.
I didn't feel that far.
It seems like a fun move.
Yeah,
cool. Like I said, this seems like across the board here. I'm looking at this kid. And I'm like, it doesn't have the mobility of a Kiriko.
What's going on with the cooldown?
Yeah. I think that's just CD guard.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
He's just using it to spam. Otherwise, dude, if it was 0.5 seconds.
Yeah, I was just confused because the bottom was.
But yeah, this again, they have really high cooldowns, which was the thing. But you kind of don't want it to have a low cooldown because, dude, imagine if you could life grip every 5 seconds.
20 seconds,
20-second cooldown.
Yeah, 20 seconds is pretty long.
Crazy
That's
too.
huge.
How much?
But it is a bubble. How does the bubble work? How does the bubble work?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know? Yeah, because to me, I'm interested to understand like how much damage mitigation is the bubble, like what actually does it do? So. Like, it's pretty fast. The pool itself is fast, and the distance is relatively far.
Yeah. The only way I see this character being used right now is like
sleeps
is with like a Winston dive. Like you can play him very well with a Winston, where you're throwing heals from a distance and just constantly healing him.
Yeah, you just off angle,
and then you can pull him whenever you need him. Whenever he needs.
Look,
it
blocks ults too.
I
mean,
I didn't know that.
That's pretty
iframes.
That's pretty good.
Iframes. That's crazy. Or is it like a damaged shield, or is it just like invulnerable? Like you're.
I'm assuming it's.
Right?
It seems like invulnerability if you're gonna live through the D.Va bomb.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
How much does this give, Jack?
Don't know.
Well, I'm sure
I didn't die in training range.
We're about to
let's see.
find
It'll show
out.
us. It'll show us.
100 health.
How much does it give?
250.
250
It's a mega.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Wait,
and also,
okay, I said this. Oh no, it's percentage.
Oh, it's percentage.
Wait. 30.
Oh, it's percentage.
I said this is what it should have been. I think it's like 40%.
I mean, 40% is a lot still.
That's
still a lot of burst.
Quick math. I don't know.
The more I see about this, and so the heal block, the tree blocks LOS.
That's saying 250 to allies, 75 to enemies. So wait, it gives.
Yeah, that's right. It gives it. Okay, that's crazy.
An ally.
Wow,
That's an enemy.
Wow. That's crazy.
See, that's the thing. I think this hero, when I see how the bubble works and that health drop, because the ability to off angle, I think there's some chances for you play like an Ana LifeWeaver or something, and you play off angles, or maybe even like a Zen LifeWeaver and you play off, or Kiriko and you just play off angles here and you get value there. But I really believe with how fast this and the ability to also you can use their ult as like a Mei wall almost, because it blocks LOS and blocks areas. Like if you go to a King's Row dive high ground.
What health is that?
I don't know how much health
heal through walls.
That's
way worse.
But the thing is, that's fine if you block a choke with it. If you block a choke with it though, that's not that bad.
How much health is that? That's like
50.
500? No,
I'm not sure. Oh, you're talking about for the tree? I don't know.
Is it going to be worth killing? But you can't fight into it.
You go. So it's an immediate burst 150 health when you summon it for all allies.
That seems to be like 50. Yeah.
It fucking insta dies. You could.
I mean, that's like a Mei
per.
Right? Yeah, I mean that's kind of like a Mei wall.
Don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited.
You put this on a payload.
Bye, Jack.
You want to get out of there.
This character is very cool. This is a lot of very new ideas.
It blocks the bomb. Okay.
There you go. I think this character is cool. I think, I don't know if it's going to be good, but I think it's a cool character. And I think it's very Overwatch.
I really think you could use this character to enable a Ryan or Ramatra or even a Winston, and it doesn't matter. And if your LifeWeaver's in there, because his damage is not bad. It's really not that bad. And you get up into someone's playing these Ana Cassidy comps up on a high ground, and you get up, you use that to enable your comps to dive up. And even if your LifeWeaver somehow dies, you drop a fat insta burst for the players that are up there that grab that health pack. I don't know. I am interested, but also it's kind of weird because at the same time, also inherently dying as a support, even if you give a big burst heal, there's a lot of situations where losing your support and having to reset, let's say on push, or something like that, is inherently if you're rewarded for dying, unless it's a huge reward or you have a lot more to enable you in the fight, I think that's less value than just keeping a support alive for a long time.
But 250 HP instantly can change the course of the fight.
It is big, but it's only for one person. And on top of that, let's say, I said, a push, right? If you're taking a big fight, you can sometimes actually essentially hamstring your whole next fight because you went for an aggressive play and your support died, right? And he doesn't have movement speed buff. It's not like Lucio, which can come back really quickly. Or even Kiriko, which has the TP or something. I don't know. I think the character is cool. I feel if a big part of their kit's based around them trying to get into the fight and enable fights, they need to have more for them to do in the moment, potentially.
I just think they're going to die. Fighting. Like, and I think his hitbox is going to be the make or break. Like, if he has a Kiriko hitbox, then I think he'll be able to dash around, heal himself, and it'll be frustrating to deal with. But if he has a bad hitbox, like, he's not going to be able to play aggressive. He's just going to die because he doesn't have enough. He doesn't have a self heal other than the dash. And then his other two things are mobility things, one which he can't use on himself. So it's like, I'm a little worried that he's just like, a Tracer might just feast on this character with only 200 HP. That's kind of scary. Like, he might just die.
I mean, I think the dash gives them some ability to fight because you get some HP and like movement. And like the damage isn't bad, but I kind of see like, realistically, if you're min-maxing the game, why would you not just still continue to play like an Ana Kiriko or a Lucio Kiriko for the most part?
I don't see where he fits in the game right now.
Yeah.
I think they need to give, and we'll see, obviously, but I think we need to like, he needs to have something else for like, if you're going to commit to like, oh, you're someone that's like disrupting fights and like you're in there, you need to have more utility during that moment, and like more like damage or something like that. But if you're going to play only off angles, it could work. But if you're only going to play off angles, like, why would you not just play Lucio or like Kiriko Ana anyways?
Yeah.
Because like sleep and nade and nano and like the extra damage and like the sight lines and Kiriko is just like better in every way. Like, I don't know. Like, that's my one concern here.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, and I'm like, well, could you swap out like?
No, can't you use the? You can use the. You can use the pedal for anti-dive as well because it can lift up enemies.
Yeah, but they're just gonna run off of it after you lift them up, right? Like, it's
maybe. I mean, theoretically, like, I guess the point being is like, theoretically, you could put them up in a position where they're way out of the fight, or like maybe use it as anti-dive.
Like, boost up your ally.
Yeah, I think you push yourself up, and they have to put 400 damage into the air while you're.
That could. I mean, like, I think the pedal here is really going to be potentially the make or break of like.
Also, might get some like nasty sight lines for like your hit scan and stuff like that, like going into fights.
Wait, why is he shooting like little taps of needles there? Like, I thought
that's how it works. You can tap it.
Oh, okay. So he's just tapping instead of holding.
He's just tapping just for it. Yeah, just for it. Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think, like, right. If you swap out, for example, like a Batiste in like a brawl comp, like you lose out on a lot of healing by picking LIFEWEAVER.
This character does not look to do enough healing.
No, you can't do it. You can't do it for brawl. This is obviously you're playing it for like rush or off angle comps only, like poke. Rush or poke, I think, are the two comps it's going to thrive in.
Yeah. But
I think it had like this character, from what I'm seeing right now, screams like I know we hate these categories because the lines have been blurred so much, but it screams main support in my eyes. Like, it screams utility, not enough healing or damage to justify playing as like.
I think there's a real chance these pedals could like go crazy, but I really don't know how they could go crazy enough to justify the rest of like not playing an Ana or a Kiriko or something or a Lucio, right? Like, that's my biggest things for this.
Sorry, go on.
I was just saying, I think that my biggest concern is the 6-second dash. I think if you brought it down to 4 seconds, it could be a very interesting playstyle because you would kind of be like a support tracer who like does healing. And then like, it would be really cool if it went down to like 4 seconds. And if you were max health and you dashed, it went to somebody else. The 25 health or like 30 health went to someone else. So then you're like a ninja in the front.
I was going to say, like, the dash is not very like big either. Like, if you compare it to like the distance you can cover with like a Moira fade, compared to this little dash here, and like you don't go.
I actually don't think the dash is that revolutionary simply because like it helps you fight flankers, but it's really, I don't think it's very good to escape at all. I think it's like a pretty poor escape. It's a good duel mechanic, but a terrible escape mechanic.
The only way I could see it is like if they want to dash, I could definitely see dash get buffed.
I can see. I think it's crazy to me that's on a like. Think about this. That's on a 6-second cooldown. Swift steps on like an 8-second cooldown. Like, how does that make sense? Like, in my opinion, like those things are like, one is dramatically better than the other. So it's like, I think the dash is a great idea. It kind of reminds me of like a League of Legends reference, like a Callista of like, that's kind of what I would love to see his style like go towards of like, he's like a Callista who's just like dashing and diving and then like lifting people up and pulling people to him and like moving around. Like, I think that would be a cool idea. But right now, I don't think he has enough. Obviously, this is just speculation. None of us have played him yet. But
I'm also trying to think like, you know, how do you get value out of the tree and stuff like that? And it just feels like it feels like every ability is like catered to a different kind of composition. So I'm like, what does this look like when you're actually trying to make it all work together? Like, the
tree seems it seems relatively weak compared to a lot of other support ults. Like, would I take this over a rush? Hell no. I would absolutely take
a lot of healing. 150 straight up, and it's something that they have to deal with. I think on think about it like in the same way that Ramatra Annihilation works, of like you kind of just need to run or kill it. Like those are your two options.
Yeah, you can't fight next to this.
You know what? That is true. I forgot that the burst heal aspect when you first summon it is
Can you put it on
good.
a payload? Like, does it travel with a payload?
That would be an interesting question, because same thing with like Koth, right? Like if they put a tree in the middle of that point, you either need to kill the tree or you need to run, because that's too much healing. Like that's 300 health in what, like 3 seconds, 2 seconds, like for everyone in that area.
Fair. That's fair, actually.
It can go up a pedal. What? That's crazy. I don't know how that works with the LOS. But
can you sit on top of it if you're like a Genji?
Yeah, is it like interactable?
Yeah, like can I jump on top of it? Because that, like, how do you kill a Genji or like a Hanzo who's just sitting on top of it, or a Pharah for that matter, right? I assume it's like a dome rather than just a cylinder.
I'll tell you what would be interesting, because I was like, what if this hero was also able to hook people with their pull?
Jesus Christ.
Oh, I'm just saying.
Imagine if you press shift on someone and it went to the tree. That would be a cool idea.
And also on top of that, you could hook an enemy, right? Like with your pool. Like I think there's I feel like if the pool was more dynamic as well, I almost feel like this character is like potentially like it's like, okay, now we're talking maybe.
Well, you're going into power creep territory is the problem of like you're trying to make this character like.
But it's not really power. But it's not that power creepy, because it still doesn't do its role. Then like his role would be more like very utility based, and like we have some damage and some healing, right? Versus like it's not like fitting anyone else. It's not like doing anything better than anyone else, right? It's not more survivable than Kiriko. He's not more survivable than like even like a Baptiste or a Lucio potentially. He's not doing more healing than them unless he has the tree. So, like, I don't know. I feel like the pull and the pedal and stuff like that, we should lean into those mechanics while still like keeping that base level of like, okay, we have this level of heals, this level of like damage, right? Because otherwise, like, I don't know where the character fits into it without these mechanics. Like,
yeah, I think we'll have to see, because historically all the recent characters have been really strong on release, and just looking at this video, this amazing Karku video, check out Karku. I just don't know where LifeWeaver fits in, but I wouldn't be surprised if people find a way to make this kit really strong somehow.
The more I think about the tree, the more overpowered I think the tree is. Like, Karku like shows us like, oh, you can just kill the tree, but he has a Bastion Reaper shooting at it. Like, that's 1,000 health that you have to bring down in a fight where your entire opposition
also, imagine you use it to like block Ana or Bap like LOS for heals, and they can't shoot through it, and you also are getting healed from it at the same time.
He might be a Koth. Like, honestly, he might be just one of those characters who's hyper good on Koth, because like the Koth is like that. Like, think about this, right? On Lijiang Tower on Night Market, instead of having to run through the choke, you can literally just pedal your whole team up. You just like go past the choke, you walk onto the point, drop a fucking tree. Like, how do you deal with that if you're like the other team, right? So it's like, I don't know. I really like the niche of this character. I agree he's definitely not overpowered, but I think he brings something new to the game.
Something very exciting and new to the game. Feels fresh in the most amazing way. So yeah, definitely excited to see more from this hero. But it felt like...
Yeah, I want to say one more thing.
Okay.
Sorry. People keep saying Bob, and like Bob has 1,000 health. Big difference between Bob and the tree, and I assume this is true about the tree. The tree doesn't have a head hitbox.
The tree, you can way more accurately pick where you're going to put the tree too. Like Bob sometimes just runs away or gets booped while running. The tree just spawns. It just pops up. Like, you don't have to put the tree in. The tree doesn't have to run like Groot to its position. It doesn't have to. It just comes up out of the fucking ground.
Yeah. It like not having a head hitbox is like a big deal, and like I don't know if like can you Discord the tree? I don't know if that's
someone said you can hack it, and I was like, that's just YouTube chat saying stuff. I have no idea.
Yeah, that's just people saying shit.
I don't have. I'm sorry. Sorry to that one YouTube chatter. I love you, buddy, but I don't know if you can hack the tree. I prefer like we don't know the answer. So
yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how the tree ends up functioning.
I am not reading YouTube chat anymore. Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
I know. We'll see how it plays. Because I mean, we've already fallen victim to the OGs. Like, oh, you have to accept the thing. Like, I don't know. Well, I'm sure there's some other guide that explains the abilities differently, but we looked at Karku's video because we like Karku. So check out his channel. And I feel like that kind of does it. And we'll see how what is going on? LIFEWEAVER actually gets played when season 4 hits, and we can talk about it more then and how it fits into the pro play and all that stuff. When we have more, it felt like we had more questions than answers almost. So I felt hesitant to like dive deeper into the speculation and questions because we don't know. Anyway, before we wrap up today's episode, I want to do a quick little segment, guys. So I appreciate you sticking around, Avast and Custa, even though Joss is gone. We're going to do a quick little Q&A for the members who are subscribed to the Plat Chat Overwatch channel. So there are a few members who in chat, like Maldo and Diron, for example. Thank you for being members of the Plat Chat channel. I picked out 3 questions. I asked a question on our YouTube page the other day, and I picked out 3 questions that I just want to answer.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna get
quick. Yeah, go for it. So 3 questions, starting out with this one, coming in from Gerald. If you could bring, this is so small. If you could bring one retired player back into the league and have them perform as they did at their peak, who would you want to see come back?
Oh, that's an easy one for me. I think I answered this someone asked me this question in Twitch. If you take all the other shit outside of this player as well and just scrap it, and we're just talking about, I want to see this player perform at their peak in the Overwatch League again, it is 100% Effect. I think Effect was like mind-bogglingly good during his time. Like, I was on his team in Dallas Fuel. That man carried Envy in 2017, and he was just like an insane player. So it would be Effect for me. As I said,
mesmerizing at the time. Like, his mechanics were just like off the charts.
Just different. Like, I watched that guy play the game, and I was like, this guy just plays a different game to other people.
Yeah. I mean, there are a few good examples, like Pine is the obvious one. Like Pine at the peak of Pine confidence and powers, like you would just get like Widowmaker highlights. Jonak Sen. I feel like Jonak was, also got so many resources. We had something literally called Jonak syndrome because other Zenyatas would try to pull off what Jonak did and they couldn't because they didn't have the same tank players and support players and all that to like really make it work for Jonak. But obviously that's a great example. I guess you could potentially say Super. Who do you think of as? Who's one retired player you want to see at the peak of
it's obviously again? For me, it's obviously Super. Like, there's no one else that comes close for me. Like, just from like a perspective of just like not just only being an incredibly good player, but just everything else they bring. So
maybe he unretires after this USA World Cup stuff.
Fuck no, he unretires. That dude, he wakes up at
okay, we need clicks of us. Just say he's gonna unretire.
He's gonna unretire.
There we go. Boom.
There you go.
If we get 1,000 likes on this video, Super said he's gonna unretire. Yeah. I heard it.
Yeah, confirmed.
True.
There you have it. Yeah. I'm gonna go. If you're talking about just peak at the powers, I gotta go with Ans, okay? And I know Ans had a couple of great matches last year already, but Ans in 2020, arguably like the best hit scan season we've ever seen from anybody in the Overwatch League. Ans was that dominant, just like an absolute first blow machine. It was crazy, just like it was almost easy for the Shock because they would always find themselves 6 versus 5 because Ans would just find a pick. So I gotta go with Ans on that one. Thank you for the question, Gerald. We got 2 more questions to run through here. This one coming in from Fisselstein. If you have the option of rebranding any team in the league to be in a new city/region with a new logo and colors, but keep the same players, what team would it be? So throwing an OWL team under the bus here because of their color scheme and their branding and their city potentially.
Before it would have been an easy Valiant, but now that Valiant's back in the A, there's no reason to like really ask for it.
This is a tough question. If you haven't done any research and prep for this one, this is actually a quite difficult question. You could argue that like if you really hate blue and yellow, then LA Valiant could, be another
but I have to keep their team. There's a thing that's true.
Also, there's nothing wrong with there's nothing really wrong with the logo colors or anything like that.
Yeah.
And like the city region is like, I mean, I'd maybe move Valiant to a different city. I'll tell you what, if I can do half of it, I would move Valiant to. I'd move Valiant to. Actually, no. There's an obvious answer. Vegas Eternal. I keep their logo and colors. I just remove the cock. I remove the cock. They don't. There's literally no reason for them to have it on the roster anymore. It shouldn't. I don't understand it. It's Vegas Eternal. They lose the cock.
Yeah, there you go.
Someone said New Jersey Valiant. I don't.
New Jersey would be funny.
that would be pretty funny. All right, there you have it. What have I said? And we got our final question coming in from Chris. Which team is likely to be this year's London Spitfire Defy All Odds underdog comeback story? We kind of touched on them earlier, but I think a good candidate for this is actually like Washington Justice. Get Amazed. I think his reputation as a coach is that he sort of had a similar run with the Paris Eternal in 2021, and now in a position where Get Amazed has really talented players. I think, us as a podcast, I didn't want to say we slept on them because we recognized how good their players were. We just wanted to see it. And they came out looking really strong. So Washington Justice could be that team that punches above their weight and actually has some really good results this year.
I'm going to go with New York Excelsior. I don't think they're going to have a London Spitfire glow up in terms of like finish top 6 in the playoffs. But, this is a team that like many of us wrote off like weeks ago. And I think if they get their shit together, they get a head coach, they play the right players, and they do the right things, like they can easily be like middle of the pack. So it's New York Excelsior for me.
All right.
Yeah, I'd probably go Justice. Well, I'd probably just go Justice.
Yeah, Justice is a good shout.
Okay. Washington Justice and New York Excelsior. There you go. All right. Thank you for the 3 questions in today's episode. I'm going to try to make it a weekly segment. So I'll throw up a post on the Plat Chat YouTube channel as a quick little fun thing, each episode where you can ask us questions. So I'll throw a post on our YouTube channel and you can drop a comment with your question and we'll address them in a weekly episode. So there you go. Thank you to all our members of the Plat Chat YouTube channel. We have one more segment to go. It's Bren's Player of the Week.
Oh, of course. Of course.
And there is, I think, one candidate, in my opinion, that stands above all. I don't know if anything comes to mind for.
I have something I want to say. That's not really a great thing. Actually, but while you search it up, I wanted to give it to Bren for one of the funniest segments I've ever seen. He did it on VCT. It was the one where he pulled fan tweets and he wrote a tweet of his own, and you had to people had to work out which one was Bren's shitty take and which one was the fans' shitty take, and it was one of the funniest segments I've seen. So shout out to Bren on that one. But
I don't have a clip of that.
Bren earning his own Player of the Week, huh?
Yeah, I know. We're getting meta on it.
Wow. That could be a good answer.
It's not a bad answer by any means. That's a pretty good answer. I honestly, I'm gonna give some props here. I'm gonna give some props to Paintbrush. Give some props to Paintbrush.
Okay, you're gonna need to dive deeper on that one for me, Avast.
Give some props to Paintbrush because he's responding to people on Reddit all the time about this team. They're clearly like trolling. They're having fun with it. Like, honestly, all of Valiant, the entire Valiant roster is like funny because like they are currently look to be way better than like Eternal and like the next like really bad team, but they are just having like insane amounts of fun with how stupid like their org is and how dog shit and terrible it is. Like it's actually like it's like really refreshing because it's like funny because they're all just essentially making fun of the org that pays them. Like that's the whole thing. And like I'm just like I find it hilarious. I find it like really, really funny. And so I'm nominating. I'm changing the whole Valiant roster. All right. Player of the Week.
So we have 2 good candidates for Bren's Player of the Week. I feel like they're very Bren-esque. I feel like both of them. I mean, one of them being himself, which he could also crown himself Bren's Player of the Week. I think historically he's done that in the past, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. I feel like a third candidate for Bren's Player of the Week and something he would also acknowledge would be Piggy, who lost 62 kilos.
That's a good shot, yeah.
Hell of a transformation. I mean, huge props to Piggy. Losing weight is really difficult. Went through like a massive lifestyle change here. And overall, fantastic work. Really, really proud of the guy. Great work by Piggy. So I feel like this is also pretty noteworthy. I will say, as someone who's also been on a diet now for a couple months, the fact that he's like minus 62 kilos and eating Korean barbecue at the same time, I'm like furious. I'm like, I fucking wish I would eat Korean barbecue and like maybe it's a celebratory meal or something, but I am so jealous of this entire situation right here. This is like the dream right here. And he also lost tons of weight, so great job by you, Piggy. Here we go.
I think Piggy is a good shout. I think it's a great one for Bren's Player of the Week. We've given special shout outs to our meme ones, but I think Piggy is the best one in the community for the week.
I mean, Valiant's not going anywhere. They can always win next week.
Yeah. And if they're going anywhere, they probably won't tweet about it. But Piggy deserves Bren's Player of the Week. So there you go. Congratulations, Piggy. You are this week's Bren's Player of the Week. There you go. And that wraps it up for Plat Chat episode 172. It was a roller coaster. Our stream wasn't working at times. We talked about LIFEWEAVER twice. I've been all over the place as a host. What an episode. Thank you for being here, guys, and rescuing this entire situation. It was fun. It was a good one.
It's a classic.
Paintbrush robbed. Okay, he'll win.
He'll still be here. He'll still be here next week. He'll still be here next week. You know, there's still time. We only get so many Piggy reveal pictures.
Yeah. All right. Next week, episode 173, we'll get back to team previews, and we'll also recap the Pro-Am and everything that went down in the bracket, and there will be more Q&A questions. So, and we'll also maybe know if you can EMP a tree. I don't know. We'll figure that out. Thank you for listening and watching Plat Chat episode 172. We'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.
Bye.